Phil Spencer has had a lot to say this week about Xbox. He's talked about his love for handhelds. He wants other storefronts on Xbox. He's calling this thing that they're doing a brand pivot. He actually used that phrase. And some are seeing this comments that he's making as just sort of the continuation of the major changes that are kind of already taking place this year. We've got big first-party titles rumored to be coming to PlayStation. Then we had the 4 titles that did. Others are seeing this sort of as just the culmination of things that were already said last year. A lot of us made predictions based off of Phil's comments, the CFO, his comments. But there are some Xbox fans that are really feeling not very happy about the brand because they don't feel like the brand is just changing, but in many ways it's sort of evaporating before their eyes and becoming something completely different. So is this a good move for Xbox to make some of these pivots? We're going to be kind of looking at what they're wanting to do. Are other platforms going to want to follow suit? And do Phil's comments give us a glimpse into what the technical leap will be for the future of Xbox hardware? And if that's the case, what does it all mean for the Series X and the Series S? Just yesterday leaked images of a white Series X that is apparently digital that, sort of hit the airwaves. So there is a lot to discuss. There is a lot to consider. And I put all the good information right here at the beginning of the video. You don't have to go looking for it as sort of an opening monologue. And that's because it's a longer video. You're like, why is this video so long? It's a live stream. So make sure you hit subscribe and that bell button. You could be here for the live discussions. If you want to be here for more of the content, consider clicking join and pick that $6 tier. Phil Spencer's not being shy about the fact that Xbox is going through what he calls a brand pivot. If putting Xbox first-party exclusives on PlayStation was not enough to convince you, well, his latest comments make it really hard to deny that the Xbox brand is changing in significant ways. The question is, will it be good? Will this be better for the brand as well as the consumers? Will other consoles, will other platforms feel like they have to follow in Xbox's footsteps? After the briefest of recaps, I'm going to try to give you a recap that led to what Phil said because I think it adds so much context. We actually already covered his comments about handhelds. We have a whole video about the Xbox handheld rumors, so I'm not going to really dive back deep into that. But recently he used the words brand pivot. He spoke about Gen Z and their behavior with games. He discussed other storefronts, wanting them to maybe even show up on Xbox. And after we look at that, I'm going to tell you what I think about this because I don't really agree with everything Phil is saying, especially kind of maybe his viewpoint of where Gen Z is going to end up. I also have some predictions about where this is all going to end. If Xbox is attempting to do something that Nintendo and PlayStation aren't doing, what will that look like in a couple of years? So in the briefest way possible, let me just quickly recap. So Phil Spencer told Famitsu in the end of 2023, it was November, that PlayStation and Nintendo were now part of the Xbox community. Okay, so that was one of the first sort of signs that things were changing. The interviewer noticed this change and said, why are you saying this, and what brought about this change? Now, Phil said that Minecraft played a big role. Then in the same month, the Xbox CFO spoke at a Wells Fargo summit, indicated that we would see a change in strategy. First-party games were going to start landing on platforms that were previously considered competitors. Then in January of 2024, Satya Nadella, the Microsoft CEO, told shareholders that they would now be able to do what they always set out to do, which is make great games and put them on all platforms. And another interview, Satya indicated that they really felt they could now be a great publisher on PlayStation and Nintendo. And every single time we covered this, we were told that, well, they're only talking about Activision Blizzard games. Well, that version of spin was seen as abundantly demolished when the rumors about first-party games landing on PlayStation and Nintendo was confirmed by Phil Spencer himself. And it all happened very quickly. Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, they're all coming to PlayStation. 2 of those 4 games are coming to Nintendo. So in a matter of just 6 months, sort of the end of 2023, and we're now about 3 months into 2024, the entire Xbox brand in the future looks very different, to the point that a recent GameIndustry.biz podcast indicated that they're hearing devs aren't even sure about what Xbox is doing, sort of asking, like, what are they doing over there? Many even questioning if they should continue putting games on Xbox. There's just sort of a lack of clarity about the future. So that's the recap. You're all caught up. This all sort of leads up to what Phil has said recently, his recent comments. Now, Phil's comments about Gen Z and this sort of brand pivot, they come as one package, okay? According to thegamer.com, quote, "The notion that Xbox can only be the one device that plugs into the television isn't something that we see in the Gen Z research." Notice he's talking about a device that plugs into the television, like the Xbox can't be the only thing. That might add some credence to the handheld being dockable or something that you can plug into your television. He continued by saying, because nothing is like that for them being Gen Z. Nothing's like that for Gen Z. Some of them will have an iPhone, some will have an Android, but all of the games and everything are the same. And this is the reason he switches now to brand pivot. He says all their stuff is available wherever they want. So for Xbox, our brand pivot as we attract and maintain relevance with a younger audience is Xbox in a place where I can find the great games that I want to. Now, thegamer.com felt that Phil's comments were very much related to what we heard from GameIndustry.biz's podcast. So the Gamer said the following: "It's also rather telling that this stance from Spencer comes shortly after GDC, in which there has been less enthusiasm for Xbox as a hardware manufacturer than ever among actual developers. It was reported by GamesIndustry.biz head Chris Dring that Xbox is in, quote, real trouble on the hardware front as sales are flatlining across Europe. And more than that," okay, so this is me talking now, "more than that, a major company really questioned putting games on Xbox." And this is what the Gamer had to say. He also claimed that a major company that released a game on Xbox last year told him that they, quote, "don't know why we bothered supporting it," which suggests at least a handful of developers are starting to consider releasing titles on Xbox more as an inconvenience. With those kinds of opinions floating around among big publishers, it's easy to see why Spencer is so keen on this brand pivot, and appealing to Gen Z is just the icing on the cake. Now, many have speculated that that major company that said that was Larian Studios, the company behind Baldur's Gate 3. I have maintained that Larian and Xbox do not have a great relationship after Phil essentially threw them under the bus when an IGN interview at Gamescom, and then the very next day, Larian announces that, well, Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to Xbox without split screen, after Phil basically said it's not a hardware problem when we all know it was a hardware problem. It was a bottleneck in the Series S that was the cause of the issue. Now, if you think my theory has no merit, just 2 days ago, the director of publishing at Larian had the following to say in response to an article about Xbox Activision layoffs, and it had Phil Spencer's picture there, and Phil commentated on why they had to lay off 1,900 people. And this is the director of publishing at Larian, quote tweeted the article and said, "When you spend too many resources annexing cities, you can't afford to feed the townspeople." Now, he said that he's been tweeting about mass layoffs a lot. He was sort of maintaining they're avoidable. So he was sort of acting like this is just another, piece to that puzzle. But it was a pretty sharply worded tweet in response to Xbox laying off 1,900 people that was in large relation to the Activision acquisition. Now, in the vein of hoping to foster better relationships, Phil also had comments about other storefronts. So the reason I'm referencing Larian and the reason I'm referencing this podcast where apparently studios are not exactly enthused about Xbox, I think maybe what Phil has next to say could be an inroad to opening up those doors once again. According to the PC Gamer article on this, Spencer said that the next 5 to 10 years, console-exclusive games are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the games industry. Now, what's interesting is that PC Gamer used the phrase console-exclusive, since I'm going to theorize in a moment just how non-console the next piece of Xbox hardware is likely going to feel. I'm going to kind of give you a glimpse into where I think they're going. What's this big technical leap that Sarah Bond was talking about? Now, on the topic of other storefronts, this is what PC Gamer had to say. What makes more sense to me is the idea of coming at the problem from other directions by bringing other storefronts like Epic Game Store, itch.io, or maybe even Steam to the Xbox console, an idea that Spencer said he's open to. So Spencer said, "Consider our history as a Windows company. Nobody would blink twice if I said, hey, when you're using a PC, you get to decide the type of experience you have by picking where you buy games. There's real value in that. Now, this obviously opens up a lot of logistical questions about how this would even work. There's roughly 70,000 games on Steam. They're not set up to run on an Xbox. They're set up to run on a PC. If it was that easy to just take a game from Steam to from Steam to Xbox, a lot of those devs would just do that, right? If it was just as simple as moving the game, that's just another audience. Those are just more potential sales. So they're not set up to run on an Xbox, they're set up to run on a PC. Now, before I tell you where I think all of this is headed, I'm going to make some predictions about the future of Xbox hardware. My opinion is that this actually could be good for Xbox, because this gets away from the hardware-centric model that they have just clearly failed at. This would be more of a software-centric model, which Microsoft has been very successful at. Now, that is something they're way better equipped for. That also lines up more with the publisher push that they seem to be focusing on since like November of last year, after the Activision Blizzard deal was closing. The same GameIndustry.biz podcast indicated that as far as they know, the majority, quote, the majority of Xbox games are headed to PlayStation. But I do not agree with Phil about how he views Gen Z gaming behavior. Yes, they're certainly more eclectic in how they engage with technology. They're less likely to only have like one gaming device. But I don't think this means that they're going to sort of grate against or bristle against consoles or console exclusives. Now, this is purely anecdotal, but my 3 nephews, they just kind of game on everything. They've got a PC, a mobile, an Xbox, a Switch, and they recently bought a PS5. Now, why did they get the PS5? There were exclusives that they wanted to play. They also played some of the PSVR 2 when I was in town, but largely it was because there were games they could only get on the PlayStation 5. Now, I also think there's a distinct difference between what I've kind of dubbed serious gaming versus disposable gaming. And I think the medium with which you're playing on plays a large role with this. Now, do you really want to play a cinematically strong, narrative-driven game on your iPhone? Well, no. That's commonly where you're going to play more of what I call disposable games. Now, do you want to play disposable games like Clash of Clans or Candy Crush? You want to play that on your big screen in your living room? Not really. Clash of Clans or Candy Crush, games like that, they're more conducive to quick play sessions on a small screen. Now, those of us who are at the age of 28 and up, I'm quite a bit higher than that now at the age of 42, 28 and up, though, does make the largest portion of the gaming audience. We're not going to be so quickly replaced. We're not all just going to die off in the next 10 years. I also think that Gen Z, they're going to be more prone, I think, to mature. They're going to change just like the rest of us did. Now, they're not going to change into being exactly the way that we are, but they're going to enter that stage of life where they have a job, where they're done with college, they have a family, they have more responsibilities. Now, this lends itself to life patterns that sort of center around set leisure times on the couch in front of a TV. Now, I don't think that's going to evolve into this expectation that, well, I better be able to play God of War 9 on my iPhone. I also don't know if this grows into a refusal to buy or support exclusives. In other words, Gen Z's not going to stay exactly where they are. Nobody typically does that, right? You don't behave and engage with entertainment the same way you did when you were a teenager, do you? TV shows, video games, over the last 20 years, consumers tend to go where the content is, especially if you've got something really great or really exciting and you can only get it on your platform. So this is my prediction. This is kind of where I think things are heading. It's starting to sound like the next iteration of Xbox hardware is going to be more like a PC. If you want the Epic Store, if you want Steam on your Xbox, you're going to need a PC with Windows on it. Now, this could be how they get developers to want to build games for this handheld that we're hearing about, right? Maybe that's why we've heard about the handheld being dockable, and Phil Spencer talking about an Xbox console not the only thing that you should be plugging into your TV. That might be a glimpse into where they're headed. That could be the technical leap that Sarah Bond spoke about. And this would be more attractive to devs who currently are losing interest in developing for Xbox. They would basically just have to create a PC version And it could hit the Xbox handheld. It could hit their console or whatever the hardware is, whatever they decide to call it. But part of me feels like this is an attempt by Xbox to isolate Nintendo and PlayStation, sort of make it look like they're out of step. You know, you continue demonizing exclusives, you call them anti-consumer, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think that will work. The opposite's likely to take place. They will make exclusives stand out more. They'll be more appealing. Well, why is that? Well, if Xbox has made it very clear they're putting their games everywhere, since every screen is an Xbox, so that would mean that PlayStation's not just getting Xbox games, it's also getting the PlayStation exclusives. And the Nintendo Switch 2 is not just getting Xbox games, it's also getting Nintendo Switch exclusives. Those exclusives would not be diminished in that equation. They would actually be a stronger selling point for those hardware funnels because you're going to get more. Now, I would imagine that Phil is hoping the handheld or the portable or the sort of everywhere nature of the Xbox ecosystem that they're going for, they're maybe hoping that would be more winsome or more compelling to Gen Z if Gen Z's wanting to sort of game in multiple locations or on multiple pieces of hardware, which is how I understand his recent comments. If you kind of take his comments as one package, he's viewing Gen Z as wanting a sort of more holistic solution to what they want to do in gaming. But I still think if a great game lands like Spider-Man 3, and if you need a PlayStation to play it, Gen Z is going to go there because they don't mind gaming in multiple locations. They don't mind having multiple devices. If they feel like games should be everywhere, I would imagine they would say, well, why doesn't Xbox have this game? Why does my Xbox handheld, why does the Xbox console or hardware or whatever it is, why does it not have Spider-Man 3? They're simply going to go where they feel they get the most games. Now, this could make sense as to why Phil wants Steam or Epic on the platform. That would make a very strong argument that, hey, there's more games over here. We don't just have Xbox games. We have the entire Steam library. We have everything hitting the Epic Game Store. So, where is Xbox going with respect to hardware in order to make this possible, right? Like, is it a PC? Is it a console? Probably a bit of both, actually. Hip Hop Gamer has been getting a lot of stuff right, okay? Give him some credit. Tweeted just yesterday a clip of him claiming in January of this year, this is 2 months ago, that Xbox would have a hybrid that you could boot into console mode or you could boot it into Windows 11 mode. Now, this actually doesn't seem that crazy or that far-fetched in light of Phil's comments and in light of the fact that the hardware on the inside of like a Series X could probably do that. Maybe even the handheld could operate that way as well. This would mean that you could play PlayStation games via Steam on a piece of Xbox hardware. The whole world's flipping upside down. Everything seems to be changing. But I still think Nintendo would be very hesitant to make the jump to PC, right? I don't think they're going to be worried about this affecting the market. They're just going to continue dominating with their exclusives. That was one thing I didn't really agree with Hip Hop Gamer on. It made it sound like Nintendo would need to adapt or make changes. They crushed it last year. They're probably going to continue crushing it. But, you know, stranger things have happened. I mean, the market may shift on Nintendo. Many see Phil projecting the challenges that Xbox has faced onto the market, right? Like they failed in hardware, they failed to make their exclusives winsome enough to actually compete, and so now exclusives are bad, and hardware really shouldn't be the focus, right? Given the success of PlayStation and Nintendo, I tend to agree with that, at least partially. I don't think a lot of what Phil is saying is representative of the market as a whole. PlayStation certainly agrees that you need to find customers outside of the console world. Hiroki Totoki indicated that there's revenue growth opportunities on PC, and PlayStation seems content to continue to bring their games to PC. But does that mean that you need to target like mobile gamers with your big exclusive titles? That's like the other market that people really want to tap into. Well, probably not. Disposable games and mobile phones, they tend to appeal to those who aren't really drawn to what I have dubbed serious gaming, like serious play sessions, serious stories, something that's more dramatic or more intense or even competitive. Yeah, the disposable gaming on a cell phone is, you know, very attractive to people who are busy, but they don't really consider themselves gamers. Phil could be onto something, though. If Gen Z engages with both types of games and both types of hardware, well, they may want hardware that is sort of a platform solution that allows them to do that gives them that wider amount of freedom. But I will say this, if future Xbox hardware streamlines my ability to get PC games on my TV in my living room so that I can game on the couch, especially that Steam library. I wish listed a lot of games during showcases, and I just can't bring myself to come into the office to play video games, okay? If they streamline that and all of a sudden I've got my PC Steam library in my living room, I would be totally in support of that. So there could be hope for a future where Xbox hardware finds itself back into the regular circulation of my gaming life. But that's just what I think. What do you think? So let me give you my closing thoughts and conclusions on this to kind of transition to talking to the live audience. I think it's kind of hard to deny the brand pivot of Xbox when Phil Spencer literally uses those words, okay? While some folks expected like a victory lap, a lot of people have been telling me to do, I told you so streams, because virtually everything I predicted last year, much of which I was attacked for, they want me to do a victory lap and an I told you so stream. I would actually rather just kind of talk about the future, like what this all could mean, what kind of hardware could we get out of this, what's the market going to look like. I think it's more exciting to think about the prospect of new hardware innovation. I think it's also interesting to think about how Xbox might get into a better place with third-party developers and the larger development world if they sort of all of a sudden have like a quasi-PC for the living room. We could be very close to what they're planning, right? Maybe we're getting some of this right. Maybe we're making some of the right guesses. It's going to be exciting to see how accurate or just how wrong we end up being. But if last year is any indication, I think I'm getting pretty good at predicting what Xbox is doing. The second thing I want to say is this. The more I think about it, the more I want a handheld hybrid PC console. Like, that kind of sounds too good to be true to like check all those boxes, but a device that I could travel with and play my games natively, a simplified way to get PC games into my living room without having to mess with a PC. But I wonder, do I want all this because of the various changes that I've gone through as a gamer? Or do I just want more ways to game? Now, is that how the coveted and the targeted Gen Z gamer, is that how they're going to think? Well, only time will tell if they sort of stay in their ways or they go through an evolution by gaming in all these various places. What are they going to look like in 10 years? Nobody really knows. My conclusion is this. Wherever Xbox lands, I'm here for the ride. While my disappointment over the Series X and this generation still lingers, I just think they did not do a very good job at all this generation. I like making predictions. I like reading the tea leaves of the industry to anticipate where things might go. I think predicting Xbox's moves has been pretty fun. Now, it wasn't fun being attacked for my comments about the Series S or saying that I thought devs were going to want to skip Xbox in the future, or I said, hey, Xbox wants to buy Activision Blizzard. They want to move into a more software-centric strategy. It wasn't fun being attacked for just voicing my opinion, but it is nice to be validated by those things all coming to fruition in just a matter of about 6 months. The hardware future of Xbox could actually not just land in a lane of satisfaction because, oh, I guessed right, but because it actually sounds like hardware that I might utilize. But those are just my thoughts. Now it's time to hear your thoughts. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. We are going to start really trying to start on time. Now, that means I scheduled the stream a little bit earlier than we have been. I'm going to try to start scheduling streams at like 9:01 Eastern. That should ensure that you only get one notification. And then I'm going to go live right at 9:30. I think today I went live at like 9:31, 9:32, like something like that. That's the plan going forward. So set your watches. We should be starting to go live a lot sooner. A lot more on time right at 9:30. That means you should be able to come here around that time. Now, we will be checking out the new free stratagems in Helldivers 2. That is the second stream today. So Microsoft has been working on this for a while with Valve. Wouldn't be surprised if this is an upcoming announcement with a new partnership between Microsoft and Valve to launch a Steam platform on Xbox Series X and S devices. That's the one question that I have. I didn't include that probably enough in the monologue. I'm kind of surprised I didn't include that. I thought I did, and now my brain is feeling like I didn't say anything about it. What does this mean for the Series S and the X? Like, could you retroactively do this software update, right? Could you create an environment where they're able to get access to the Steam stuff? I got some people to thank. Machiavelli 24, 9 months of membership. Xbox Dreamcast 2.0. Yikes. And 5 months from Feed. Thank you all for the gifted sub. Says Feed. And then I am Melee with 27 months on a VIP. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Melee. Guys, thanks so much for smashing the like button and crushing it this morning. Good to see a nice strong turnout. Who's making all those games run on Xbox? Magic. Okay, Eugene, track with me here. Does this sound crazy? Let me get the daily goal up. I got the daily goal up before you guys have gifted all the ways you can support. If you guys are watching the past broadcast, don't forget, I am wearing Gamer Advantage glasses. We are partnered with them. If you're looking for blue light blocking glasses, use my code below. My t-shirts are always from Into the AM. And then the coffee as well. If you're a coffee drinker, check it out. Try it out. You're supporting a small business. That's not a sponsor. All right. And then obviously the memberships. You guys have a massive goal to hit if you want a Friday night stream, because we were not going to do a Friday night stream. So see if you guys can go crazy today. Good to see you, Brap. Okay, so track with me here, Eugene. Do you think that they could update the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S? Could they update those to be dual boot devices? Right? I got a note with my coffee that said, blame Lono for how late this order was, comrade. Watch your back. Did my wife really do that? Han shot first, and so did you. Joker Quinn beats Mike on the mic by just half a second. 2 gifted members already. Thank you so much. We were aiming for 2,500 members, and you guys are going to have to go bonkers today because Fridays is almost impossible to hit those numbers. Because we'll be doing the Stellar Blade demo in the morning and then doing a stream with Mike. We're currently at 2161. You guys are basically going to need 300 members today if we're going to hit 2,500 before the end of the month, and then we'll do a big Friday night community game night celebration. So you better bat signal the big boys if you guys hope to do that today. She really did? Oh, that's amazing. I want a picture of that, Zuby. Update to even more useless Xbox. Xbox needs to be a PC to run Steam. Horrible idea. But couldn't they make it to where you could boot it into Windows? Like, Hip Hop Gamer was talking about a device coming that's going to do that. Like a hybrid device that's literally built for you to like press a button and it boots into Windows 11. You press a button and it like boots in to Xbox mode. Yeah, exactly, Brap. That's the video I'm talking about. Do you think they could do that to the Series X and the Series S so then suddenly they can get access to like the Steam Marketplace or something? Like, I don't know. It sounds crazy to me. Did you miss me? Did I miss you? Did you do something? Did you do did I miss did you do like a super chat or something? Oh, you're just asking if I missed you. Sure. Do you remember the time when the Steam machine was a thing? Steam failed with that idea. How is the current Microsoft thing different in your opinion? Maybe because they're going to appeal to the console gamer, and I don't know if the Steam machine appealed to anybody, because if you're a PC guy, you already have a PC. If you're a console guy, you're like, I don't want a PC. This would be something different. This would say, no, this is a console with expanded ability, with expanded opportunities for you to have more games. I feel like it would diminish the performance even more, says Eugene. Oh, you weren't here yesterday. Sorry, I did not realize that. Listen, if you guys weren't here yesterday, if you haven't been seeing my streams on your homepage, I'm going to say this 1,000 times. I'm going to say it 1,000 times again. We say this all of the time. YouTube's not reliable, okay? You got to check your sub feed, but really, get in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter at Reforge Gaming. YouTube is bad about that. They'll make some updates, and I'll just disappear off of your radar, and yet I'm still here streaming, okay? So I appreciate the daily engagement. Guys, so many people here. Smash that like button. Likes have been acting up, okay? So double check when you like that it saves, all right? Let's hit 200 likes really quickly here. If every console's identical, then it's curated window experience, not full Windows. Eugene says, so now hardware that was not designed to run Windows has to now run Windows. I'm not saying they're going to do it, Eugene. I'm saying, hypothetically, Way of the Lao, thank you so much for upgrading to VIP. Hypothetically, let's say they're going this route, okay? They're going to do this hybrid box. They can do both Windows, and it can do both Xbox, and it can do Steam, and it can do all these things. What happens to the Series X and the S? What happens? What do you do with those boxes? Zubair says, designed to run Windows. It's got an x86 CPU. It's designed to run Windows. Like, yeah, is it that crazy to think that a Series X could boot up a version of Windows? A stripped-down version of Windows that can boot up Steam? Now, to be fair, the hardware configuration in the Xbox Series X still might not be compatible with a lot of the Steam games. I don't know how that works. Just because you can boot to Windows doesn't mean that the games are going to be able to interact with the video card. You know what I'm saying? Because of the drivers. I don't understand how any of that works. A 5-spot from Darius Ward. Didn't Dell try this with Alienware Alpha? It was essentially a PC and a game console, and it failed. Way of the Loud gifts a member. Thank you so much. You guys have got a massive goal to hit today, and you're taking chunks out of it already. 3 members just that fast. Controller navigation of Windows does not work. Okay, but imagine this. It would be more like the Windows that we've seen on Surface, where it's just like cubes and stuff. All you got to do is give them a version of Windows that's just like a couple of boxes. Do you want to open Steam? Do you want to open Epic Game Store? Or do you want to shut down? Like, that's it. That's like, they need like 3 buttons. You know, it would boot into that, and then they would be able to play all their Steam games. I'm not seeing the uniqueness. How would this be different to a Steam Deck since the Xbox games are on the Steam? Anyway, I think you guys are missing what I'm seeing, so let me try to paint the picture. Imagine the console gamers suddenly being able to buy a console that doesn't just give them access to Game Pass. It doesn't just give them access to their backlog of games or Xbox games. It gives them access to Steam, all of Steam. How many times have we sat through a showcase and we're like, that game looks sick. Oh, wishlist on Steam. And all you console guys are like, frick, can't play that one. All you console guys are like, oh, your wishlist on Steam. Okay. Now, Death's Door is a good example. Like, Death's Door crushes it. The week it comes out, it sells like 100,000 copies, and then it's now available on console. So, I think it would appeal to a consumer base that currently is like, I don't want anything to do with PC. So it's a PC, not a console. It would be a console PC hybrid. I'm confused. Make this make sense to me. Why would you not want that? Let's imagine it's real. Let's imagine it can run games really well. You just plug it into your TV. Why don't you don't want that? I've wishlisted some killer Steam games, and I just can't be bothered when it's time to game to like come into the office and sit in a chair. I want to sit on my couch. If I could go, boop, boop, turn a box on, and have access to my entire Steam library in my living room, am I crazy? Am I the crazy one? I would want that. Why would you not want that? What? Because Microsoft sucks and it won't work? Is their Surface team bad? I thought their Surface devices were good. I thought they were getting praise. I'm asking the question. I don't use them. I thought the Surface team and the hardware coming out of the Surface team was getting praise. So we would be worried about the hardware itself. That's what you're saying, Jez? You don't think the hardware would be any good? I think the Series X is a great machine. I don't think the Series X is the problem. I think the Series S is the problem. Let me ask you something, Jez. If the Series X was the only box that they made right now, do you think we would be getting performance issues? They just changed the whole team? Which team are you referring to? People are missing the main point of a console, says AOZ. It's a single hardware profile, so you can build games efficiently, and the OS guarantees resources. Xbox is pretty much a PC with a special OS. Ding, 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 ding. If they can somehow figure out to make it to where the hardware architecture and the software get along so that suddenly you can launch Steam and you launch PC games on it, they just did what I said they were trying to do 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I said, I feel like Xbox is trying to blur the line between console and PC. I said that 7 years ago. That was the impression I got. What if that's the culmination of that? Now, if you're not confident in their ability to make good hardware, okay, so be it. So be it. I think the Series X is a great device. I don't think the Series X is a bad device. If the Series X was the only console they were selling, I happen to think we'd be having a much different experience this gen. I do. I firmly believe that the Series X is a great piece of hardware, held back by the stepbrother. No offense to anybody who bought a Series S. I'm not insulting your purchase, and I'm not insulting your choices. I'm simply saying that the Series X is a great piece of hardware, and we haven't really gotten to see it perform. I don't know if we will. Hellblade 2 is almost here. We'll see. The box can run Windows, but they have the issue with the Asus Ally. Windows on a small screen is not working. Okay, but you're presuming you would just boot up and just have like a standard version of Windows. Why would they not have a version of Windows that's sort of been simplified and stripped down? Like the version of Windows that you've seen on the Surfaces. It literally looks like an Xbox. It's like a bunch of squares. Like you just kind of navigate the squares. You don't have like a start menu and like a desktop with icons. I talked with 3 Xbox guys today, says Derek. 2 swore they'd only buy PCs from now on. 1 just said the PlayStation controller is for babies, it's too small. And then I showed a diagram of how it's bigger than the Xbox. Wait, people think that the PlayStation controller is... Oh, he's probably talking about the PlayStation 4 controller. Yeah, the hamster hands, era of the PlayStation controller is a real thing. He probably just doesn't realize that the DualSense is larger. PWH with a $5 super chat tip says, the new hardware I think is a handheld with a version of Windows designed for it. Most Xbox fans have a PC, so the console PC hybrid is kind of pointless. You think most Xbox fans have a PC? Why do you think that? The Xbox operating system is a version of Windows already, says Zubair. You just need to add support for running Steam games with controller support. That's what I'm saying. It is Windows. I remember when they updated it once, and then I saw the Surfaces at Best Buy, and I was like, that's the same dadgum operating system. Windows 11 has touchscreen, but the Xbox interface is not there anymore. That was Windows 10. Okay, so you're saying they've moved on from that, Jez. You can't imagine a world where they would develop a new sort of... what's it called in Steam? Big button mode or whatever the frick. You can't imagine a version of Windows like that? I think they can make a version of Windows like that. You literally would only need to boot it up in Windows mode and be like, here's Steam, here's the Epic Games Store, here's the button to turn this thing off. Yeah, big screen mode, thank you. They could make that they could make a version of Windows that could do that. I think so. I completely resonate, empathize, and understand a lack of confidence in Xbox's ability to bring good hardware to market. I get it. I'm right there with you. Red Ring of Death, the Xbox One and Kinect, what a disaster. And then this era with the Series X and the Series S and all the broken promises, and I get it. If you're going to sit there and say, I have no confidence in their ability to enter the hardware market competitively, I think you have good reason to think that. You do. But I'm telling you, it sounds like it could be pretty good. I'm telling you, it could be pretty good. Yo, Patrick Q is saying, hey guys, we need 300 likes. If you're reading chat right now and you see Patrick Q saying that, give the man what he wants. smack that like button. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. Subscribing is totally free. It enables you to talk in the chat, and we will be covering the Helldivers 2 free stratagems, the new free stratagems. We'll be covering that later, okay? I know you guys want to see them. We'll be checking it out, all right? I forgot to move my PlayStation in here because I'm an idiot. We'll figure it out. I'll have to go grab it. I don't understand the target audience. If you already use Steam, you have a PC, you already can play Microsoft games. Xbox is a small market share, so what crowd is clearly not enough? Yo, welcome back, Jean Velez. Listen to me. He wants Gen Z. I think in Phil's mind, Gen Z is like, I game here, mouse and keyboard, I game here on my PlayStation. Like, they game everywhere. And so what he's trying to come up with is, or what Xbox is trying to come up with, is a solution that says, hey, Gen Z, you like to pretty much kind of game everywhere. On the go with the mobile, maybe a handheld, maybe on your TV, maybe on PC. This device lets you do like almost all of that. If it's a handheld, if it allows Steam games to be played, and it allows console games to be played, Xbox games to be played, which I guess there aren't really console games anymore with Xbox because, you know, they've been doing Xbox and PC for the longest time, but getting access to that Steam library, I think that's the mindset is Gen Z doesn't want a single box. You aren't going to find a Gen Z gamer that's like, oh, yes, I only play on the PlayStation. I only play on the Xbox. They kind of play on all of it. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's what they want. The Gen Z I know play on consoles. The Gen Z that I know, my nephews, they play on everything. They have a Switch, they have an Xbox, they have a gaming PC, and they just bought a PlayStation 5 because they wanted some of the exclusives. They play on everything. They don't have an allegiance to one of the pieces of plastic. They don't care. They're just like, what games are my friends playing? I'm going to go wherever that is. That's basically the Steam Deck. I don't know if Gen Z's buying the Steam Deck in great numbers. I think Steam Deck adoption is probably a lot of the older gamers like us, 28 and up, that are already established gamers, that already like Steam, that already like PCs. I think if you polled the average person buying a Steam Deck, it's probably not a large proportion of Gen Zers. It's probably a larger proportion of folks like us, 28 and up, not 27 and down. Gen Z plays where the games are. Xbox has no games. There you go. I think that's a point that I kind of made in the show opening monologue. I said, I don't think this is going to hurt exclusives. I think you're going to make exclusive stands taller. Because if Xbox is putting their games everywhere, and let's say Blade, when it comes out, it's multi-plat. I told you it was multi-plat when they debuted the trailer, and you hated me for it, and I was right. Blade's going to be multi-plat. Deal with it. Blade lands multi-plat. And you can get Blade on a PlayStation 5, and you can also get Spider-Man 3. That's compelling because, like, well, I can get both games. But then if you go to this Xbox piece of hardware, you're going to be like, oh, I can get Blade. And, I mean, I guess I can wait a year or two for Spider-Man 3 when they port it to Steam if this handheld hybrid can play Steam games. So you're making the exclusives more compelling because it's like, well, PlayStation's going to de facto have more games because they don't just get the Xbox games, they also get the PlayStation exclusives. The Nintendo Switch 2, same deal. If they start putting Xbox games on the Nintendo Switch 2, you get those games and you also get the latest Zelda. So exclusives will stand taller in this system they're trying to build. However, this is what I think the pushback and what Phil would say. That's great. You know, exclusives are becoming less and less common. We don't just have Xbox games over here. We also have Steam with over 70,000 titles, a catalog nearing 100,000, right? We also have the Epic Game Store. So if that's the quantity war you're fighting and they get to throw Steam in the bin on whatever device this is, that's Xbox. That's their version of competing. We know this. We know this is Xbox's version of competing. What do? They buy or broker deals to increase quantity. They do it for Game Pass. They did it through acquisitions. They'll do it with Steam if they can. It's how they compete. They don't foster developers to build really great product. No. They buy developers so they can use their products to be like, look at all the games that we have. This fits right in line with how they've approached competing in this market is, well, let's approach Steam. Let's put Steam on this device that we're coming out with. And if you have a portable device that is basically a handheld PC, handheld Xbox that can then dock and is also then a console/PC in your living room, that could be the technical leap that Sarah Bond was talking about. That could be their idea of, this is a huge technical leap. I'm not hyping them up. I'm just painting a picture of this could be their version of competing. Almost 700 people here, guys. If you're just tuning in and you're enjoying the conversation, I am a safe for work broadcaster. I do a stream like this Monday through Friday, and you can keep me on in the background. A lot of people treat me like a podcast. Maybe they come back later and they listen to the past broadcast. That's super helpful. If you want to talk in the chat, hit subscribe. If you want to help this specific video, you can hit the like button, and it helps the video find more people. So smash that thumbs up, and make sure it's actually saving your thumbs up. YouTube's been a little quirky lately. What about Sony blocking gaming from being used on a Microsoft device like it does on GeForce when using it on Xbox? It blocks exclusive games. Explain that to me. What do you think they're going to block? What games in particular do you think Sony's going to try to block on this particular device? Remember when Steam tried to try this with Steam machines? Okay, somebody brought that up, Brap. Fair point, but don't you think there's a significant difference between a Steam machine coming from Steam, trying to appeal to people who either don't know who Steam is? Steam was not a household console name amongst console gamers. There's a big difference between that and Xbox, a known brand awareness. We know who Xbox is. If they come out with a handheld console PC hybrid, that could appeal to people that... I don't know how many people probably did this. Console owners who were like, oh, I've got to get the Nintendo Switch. They probably largely did it for the first-party titles, but I also think the idea of playing on the go with the Nintendo Switch Lite especially, I do think there is room in the market to say, hey, we're not just a console. More than a console. You know, they're going to be using phrases like this when they market this thing. If we've got our finger on the pulse of like what Xbox is getting ready to do, that would be the selling point. More than a console. It can play PC games. More than a console. You could take it with you. More than a console. You know, you're not locked to just our games. So that would be the selling point, is that you're going into a market where people know who you are, and the desires of the generation behind us are changing. The desires of the generation behind us are like, I want to be able to game on a handheld device. I want to be able to game on a mobile. I want to be able to play my PC games. I want to be able to play my console games. I don't disagree. This just reminds me of Steam machines. Do you ever think sometimes, Brap, that hardware fails because it's too early? I've said this a lot about the Xbox One era. I've said this a lot about Xbox One. I think Xbox One got a lot of hate because it was too early. Think about what the Xbox One tried to do. It literally tried to do what we now celebrate in our smart TVs. It's always online. It's your entertainment hub. You can watch TV on your TV. Like, the Xbox One was like, they were like too early for their own good. It was like they knew where things were going, and they were just too early. And then the gamers just rejected it. They're like, this isn't gamer-centric. You're not talking about games. You're talking about advertisements. You're not talking about games. You're talking about TV. You're not talking about games. You're talking about sporting events. Like, they were almost too early. So the Steam machine, yeah, Connect. right? A lot of the Kinect features, the idea of like motion tracking and face tracking and having a game that you interact with your body, like that was them maybe a little bit ahead of their time. Yeah, the Nokia N-Gage. I remember the Nokia N-Gage, basically like a gaming phone. I remember that. So the Steam Machine, I don't really remember it. I don't remember what happened with it, but it just could have been ahead of its time. It also could literally be a brand problem. It could be a brand problem. It could be, who's Steam? The average console user is going to be like, I don't know, what's Steam? If they're not plugged into the PC world, you got to think about the average consumer that was like walking into a Best Buy, or if you remember Circuit City, they're walking into a retail location. That average consumer is like, I don't know who Steam is. What's that? But Xbox, people know Xbox. Now, right now, obviously, Xbox's hardware is in a terrible space. It's not doing well at all. They're going to fall below Xbox One numbers. It's looking bad. But you can always, I think, have a resurgence of interest if you actually come back to the market with something that's different. Like if they would have just come back to the market with like another console in 2028 or whenever this thing lands, if it was like just another console, nobody would have paid any attention to it. They've lost that fight. Like, no, what? Okay. Nobody's buying your consoles anymore. What are you doing? You guys fell off the face of the earth. But if they come to the market with something that's brand new, a new concept, if they come to the market with something that PlayStation's not doing, now you might look at Nintendo and say, but Nintendo's kind of doing it. But not really. Nintendo's going to have like another gaming on the go solution. PlayStation's going to continue to push graphics and premium performance, and then also put their games on PC by way of Nixxes. If you haven't seen their Horizon Forbidden West reviews, Nixxes crushed it again. Xbox can say, we do all of that. We have a gaming on the go solution. We have PC games. We have great graphics. Now, again, the pushing the graphical fidelity thing, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but they might not really want to fight that fight. Who would this be marketed to? Gen Z. I've said it all morning. Gen Z, the younger generation. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm simply telling you who they're targeting. This is disingenuous. The PS5 is falling behind the PS4, yet not a peep from anyone. That's not true. They are targeting Gen Z. Now, I'm not saying that they're right, but the logic is this. Gen Z, the younger generation, they don't game with plastic loyalty in their veins. A lot of you do. A lot of you think that I do, because if you view the world a certain way, you think everybody else does. Gen Z can't afford this. Gen Z have smartphones and or tablets. They won't buy this. All right, hang on a minute. People are speaking out of turn here. Gen Z is age 27 and down. The generation above currently makes up the largest portion of the gaming audience, 28 and up. But Gen Z, over the next 10 years, is going to infect the gaming market. They're going to start to spend more, and they're going to start to buy more. Why? Because they're going to more of them will have jobs. More of them will have disposable income. More of them will be like, okay, now I can buy games for myself. Okay. So Gen Z is like 27 and down. All right. To say that Gen Z won't buy this, I don't know what you're basing that off of. Oh, they play on tablets and iPhones. The Gen Zers that I know also play on PCs. They also play on consoles. They also play on the Switch. Like, Gen Z, and again, this is according to Phil Spencer, their Gen Z research is that they just kind of play everywhere. They don't really care. You came up during the era of Xbox versus PlayStation, or some of us came up in the era of cutting our teeth on Coleco and the Nintendo, and so we're just kind of like, dude, I'll buy everything. I don't care. I just want video games in my house, okay? But a lot of us, a lot of you, a lot of gamers today cut their teeth as gamers in an environment that fostered loyalty to a plastic box. Gen Z's not gaming that way. So Xbox's strategy is, let's give them a device that checks 3 boxes. Console gaming, handheld gaming, PC games. Right? I'm not saying that they're right. I am not saying that they're right. I'm saying that is their strategy. I'm simply explaining to you what Xbox is trying to do. What Gen Z do you know? I know my nephews and a bunch of kids at my church, and they don't play the way that we do. And they don't just play on cell phones and iPads. That's an oversimplification. That's not the only place they play. They're just more open to playing on those devices because their friends do. A lot of us still play on our phones periodically, but not to that degree. We're not like really, some of you are probably still booting up Clash of Clans. Some of you are probably still playing Candy Crush in secret, but in large portions, 28 and up male gamers, men, most of you here are men. We're like a 98-2% split here. Most of you just aren't touching mobile games to that degree anymore. Or if you do, it's just disposable gaming to you. You're playing it when you're on the toilet, or you're playing it when you're at the DMV. You're not like committed. It's not like I'm playing this every single day. Like the people that play mobile games every day are in different brackets, right? Especially if you're in places like Korea, especially if you're in brackets where like lots of more of like middle-aged women play lots of the mobile games. Like there are brackets of gamers that just tend to sort of cluster around certain things, and 28 and up men tend to be more within the console PC gaming trends, and then 28 and up women are also in there, but they also gravitate and cluster around mobile games. This is all research that you can go and find. So their research, this is just what Phil Spencer's saying, their research is that Gen Z just sort of plays everywhere. Like they don't really have like this, when I get home, I can't wait to turn on my Xbox, and that's all I ever do is Xbox, and I love my Xbox. Like they don't play that way. Ages 20 to 27 is when I had the most money to burn, living at home without bills. Exactly. Like, to act like they don't have money, they're going to have money. They're going to have money to spend, trust me. Kids also play on devices dictated by what their parents allow and buy for them. This is true. Like, you get under the age of 18, they have a little less volition and control over, their gaming experiences, so they have to kind of like go through mom and dad. And so a lot of them have a Nintendo Switch and maybe a PC. Oh, and then they also game on their phone. They play everywhere but Xbox? No, not in my experience. That's not true. A lot of them still have Xboxes. But I also think they would be more open to buying an Xbox if it's checking those boxes. 27 and living at home, LOL. Why are you laughing at that? There's an enormous trend right now of the generation behind my generation that are having to move back home with their parents. It's an economic reality. It's not something to be laughed at. To act like kids are any different than we were is disingenuous too. I had everything. I had consoles, I had handhelds, I had PC. That changed when I got older for a multitude of reasons. Well, okay. I agree with you. I'm understanding Phil's strategy, but I also disagree with the idea that like Gen Zers are just going to stay the way that they are. And this is where I'm going to bring in the Metamorphosis principle. The Metamorphosis principle is an idea that I always put forth that your gaming experiences change your gaming expectations, and you don't even know it. You don't know that it's happening. So the first time that you played GoldenEye, you went through a metamorphosis. You didn't know that it was happening. You weren't checking in with yourself. You weren't aware of it. But it changed your expectations about like what you were going to want from the next game and the next game and so forth. And the first time you played Call of Duty and the first time you played Gears of War and the first time you played Halo, your first exposure to these games has caused a metamorphosis in you. And it's very difficult to predict where these trajectories are going to end up. Did anybody know that Fortnite was going to change the world, but also kind of make everybody get a little sick of anything that looked or smelled like Fortnite? Did anybody know that? No. Do you want to know what a lot of companies did? A lot of companies saw, oh wow, everyone's flocking to Fortnite. We need to try to do something like Fortnite, and it's blown up in a lot of those companies' faces. So, if you look at Gen Zers and you're like, well, this is how they're gaming. Yes. Does that mean they're going to stay that way? Probably not. They're going to have gaming experiences over the next 10 years that will vastly change their expectations. The Metamorphosis principle is a fact. You can't stop it. It will happen. They will play games. They will have experiences that will simply change their expectations and their desires from gaming. Meaning, I don't think they're wrong. I don't think Xbox is wrong for thinking we can target Gen Z with a more versatile hardware solution. I don't think they're wrong in doing that. But they could end up being wrong if Gen Z starts to trend in another way. Nobody knew that TikTok was going to become a thing. Nobody knew that. It's completely changed the way that people consume information. It's completely changed the way an entire generation thinks about social media and the news and facts and reporting and world events. A single application, one, all by itself, has changed the world, if you really think about it. Global hive mind change from a single application. Okay, Skynet's almost here. Anyways, if you apply that and you think, okay, Gen Zers are like this right now, they're going to stay this way. Probably not. Probably not. However, appealing to their current trends, appealing to their current preferences, it's not a bad strategy. What else are you supposed to do? Like, guess? You have to make, as a business, you have to make approximations and you have to make judgments about where you think things are going to end up. And the only real way you can do that is based off kind of like the trends that you're looking at right now. So I don't think Xbox is wrong. I just don't think I strongly agree. I think I lean towards disagreeing that, like, I don't think Gen Z is going to stay this way. I think they'll change. I think their gaming habits will change. I think seasons of life have a huge impact here. I game completely differently now than I used to. Why? My life is different. I used to play Call of Duty for a minimum of 4 hours a day. Minimum. The minimum was 4. Call of Duty. I would boot up. If I was not working and my wife was working, or I had the day off, or I didn't have class, it was Xbox, Call of Duty, minimum 4 hours a day. Upper end would be about 6 to 7 hours a day. If I tried to do that now, I would feel sick after about 3. I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm grumpy. I'm not having a good time. I need a nap. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it. I just can't. My life as it's set up wouldn't allow me to do that. A lot of you played EverQuest and World of Warcraft for 8 to 12 hours a day. You're not doing that anymore. You aren't. It's why MMOs are going through a bit of a casualification crisis. It's like, well, the people that want to play MMOs, they can't play like they used to. They can't kite spiders in the forest for 8 hours anymore. They've got real lives now. They've got jobs. They have children. They can't do this like they used to. So MMOs are even having to adjust and think differently about what players can put into a game, and therefore what they're going to hope to get out of a play session that might only last for 2 hours, 3 hours, instead of 5 to 6. So that doesn't mean that there aren't whales. That doesn't mean that there aren't people who don't play, 12 hours a day. But you have to see that, like, gaming habits change a lot of the times in relation to your life situation. So Gen Zers will get older, they'll get jobs, they'll get married, they'll have children, they'll have parties that they want to go to, right? They'll have social lives. Please let them have social lives. That'll be terrible if they don't. A lot of them, their social lives are kind of weird right now. But that will dictate how they game. And so this is where I tend to agree with some of the stuff that, like, Eugene was saying yesterday. He's like, they're going to get older, they're going to mature, and they're going to do what a lot of us did. They're going to start to gravitate towards, like, a PC or, like, a console, like, more serious gaming that's, like, in a room, on a screen, you sit down, this is, like, your leisure. They're not going to be like, can't wait to play God of War 9. No. No. No, the experience and the medium are married. Marriage and children is a bold assumption. Okay. Maybe for you, but, for the men that don't look like a foot, there's a better chance, okay? The trends are away. Yeah, I know. Less. The generation behind us is getting married less and having children less because they can't afford them. Again, those are economic realities. Sure. Let's just say they get a little bit older and they have a more regular job. Even that will create an environment where they're having, like, a more leisure setup where it's like, this is when I play my games. This is how I play my games. And again, the point that I was going to say before, that was a very specific insult. I appreciate that. Yes. It was very British of me, right? To insult with an object, Hey, looks like a boss. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anyways. Don't bring Dave. He looks like a foot. The medium is, like, married. It's married to the experience. Like, I really don't think, as games become more immersive, more photorealistic, and the graphics get better, right? I don't think you're going to want to play those experiences on a phone or on a tablet or on a handheld. Now, you might. I'm not saying, like, you would never do it. I'm saying the gravity, the magnetism is going to be this. I want to be wearing something or looking at a screen, and I'm, like, experiencing the full breadth of it. Like, I don't think you're going to be like, oh, I can't wait to play God of War 9, the new versions of ray tracing and textures and lighting and the photorealism. I can't wait to play that on my phone. Like, that's not, you see what I'm saying? Like, the medium is married to the game type. Disposable gaming is perfect on a phone or on an iPad. Clash of Clans, Candy Crush, even these more simplistic, or, what I would consider them to be kind of like throwaway MMOs, like they're fine, and regions of the world will prove some of this different. That, the MMOs that are very popular in China and Korea that are on a mobile. But I do think you're still going to have that cinematic narrative thrust, those big, huge experiences, the graphical tour de forces, and I don't think you're going to play that on a dadgum phone or an iPad or a handheld. You're going to want either some type of new VR experience, if that continues in a good way, to be more immersive and so people don't get motion sick, and maybe it's easier to wear or whatever, or a screen. Like, you're going to want the full breadth of the experience. That's not going to change, I don't think. Just because people right now, Gen Zers, are open to playing on a phone, a tablet, a TV, they're open to all of it, that doesn't mean the games they're playing are the same. Now, yes, to a certain degree, Fortnite and Apex and Call of Duty, they're kind of spanning that spectrum. Like they have like a band all the way across. I think the rest of the console games, the PC games, are generally going to still be played in those places, and the more disposable games are still going to be played in these places. What if I can just dock my phone with my TV wirelessly? See, that's what I'm getting at, Zuby. If you... Xbox already gets debunked in real time. Jeff Keighley tweet from 2020 to make it seem like Valve and Microsoft are cooking up something for Xbox. I had a feeling when I read that tweet and then I read who tweeted it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that guy is like super dishonest. Like, just not trustworthy. What you're getting at, though, Zubair, is I think what Xbox sees. I think they see, what if we had a piece of hardware that could show up in all of those instances? What if we had a piece of hardware that just got you into your games, whether you were on the go or you wanted to plug it into a TV or you also wanted to have access to PC games? What if we checked all three of those boxes? That's a lot of dadgum boxes. Like, I think that's their strategy. I'm not saying it'll work. I'm not hyping it up. I'm simply saying that's what I see them doing. I see them targeting that more, device platform agnostic generation, being drawn to a solution that says, you can take this device with you, you can plug it into your TV, and it also gets you access to PC games. Like, I see that being a very compelling offer. Mobile connected to your TV, I can't wait to play those PS 3.5 games. Don't you think at a certain point, though, Kritopsy, that there will be almost a singularity of hardware event where even mobile devices have reached such a peak of performance that you could play most games, just maybe the graphics are slightly toned down? Like, I think we're headed toward that. I feel like mobile devices are going to get more and more powerful, and they're going to be able to play games that you're thinking, oh yeah, PS3 games. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be an intersection of, you can only get so photorealistic, you can only push graphics so far, so a really, really strong mobile device will be able to hit above its weight class, or like at least carry some of these games. You would just turn some of that stuff down. I don't know. I feel like mobile, processing, mobile devices and chipsets are getting better. Woden's Throne with a $5 super chat tip. Without handheld gaming, I wouldn't be able to enjoy gaming as much. I beat the second half of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on my PlayStation Portal. God, thank you so much for that super chat. Guys, do me a favor. Great turnout today, almost 700 people. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, consider hitting subscribe. It'll ensure that I show up on your homepage or your sub feed. It lets you talk in the chat. And really, make sure you hit that like button. That helps us out as well. And consider becoming a member or gifting a member. If you pick up your own membership, if you click join, make sure you pick the $6 tier. If you guys are wanting to gift, you're going to need to come really, really huge today, because there's no way. Fridays never works because I'm either playing a game or talking with Mike, and it doesn't work. If you guys are going to try and push that member number, man, this is it. This is the last day, basically, of March to do it. You need about 250 to 300. It's somewhere in that ballpark, because I gift 5 every 25. I would 100% buy a piece of hardware that could reliably let me play retro games on the go, on its own screen or on another screen. Patrick Q bumps the gifted member line. He says, come on, boys. You guys going to try and beat your single gifted train? Yesterday, you guys went on a single gifted train of 26 members. See if you guys can't get it going again. Silver Subaru says, let's go, chat. Good Friday tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, I was not planning on doing a Friday night stream. We will be coming back from a service. So it's like, but if you guys hit the goal, we'll do it. We'll do a community game night. It's going to be a tough goal to hit. Like, you guys are going to have to get some of those crazy guys in here that just go nuts. Like, that's what's going to take. If not, no big deal. We'll go into April, start fresh. We'll have a new month. But There's an opportunity today. Rebirth doesn't even look that great on the PS5, and people are loving it, so graphics aren't everything. I've seen graphics and screenshots from Rebirth that I think look fine. I don't know why people are getting so persnickety about the graphics. Another gifted member coming in from Jordan Lanham. Thank you so much, Jordan Lanham. The single gifteds add up quick, guys. Thank you so much. 5 out of 25, though, attempting a 20 bomb. For somebody, I agree with Lono. We are asymptomatically approaching a limit to graphics performance. I'm not sure what you mean, Zubair. I mean, I like that you agree with me, but I'm not sure what you're saying. No singularity. Who's wasting their battery on mobile games at home on the TV? These mobile games burn through power like nothing, and you're not supposed to charge and play high-demand games. It heats up. Well, again, and a 20 bomb from Parasito. He hears the call and he answers, and we drop all the way, or jump all the way up, to 25 out of 25. Parasito says, let's do this. Thank you very much, Paris. I now owe you guys 5 members. That's a big one. Not asymptomatically. Yeah, I read what he said. Tom Warren calling out that tweet and says nonsense. So that tweet from K. Jovian, Tom Warren says nonsense. He replies to that guy and just bodies him. All right, well, that'll do it. Sorry. I always get a little choked up when a liar gets bodied. It just really touches me. It gets me right here. Oh, it's my favorite. I get a little emotional. Liars getting exposed is my new kink. I mean, I'm dying here. I'm choking. Oh. Anyway, sorry. I'm not having any issues. It gets a little blurry on occasion, and that's it. I mean, people grossly overstated the performance in Final Fantasy 16, so it's not surprised that a lot of the same actors are doing the same thing. You know, oh, it looks terrible. Okay, here's the $5, the 5 members that I owe you guys. Boom. There we go. Getting us a little bit closer to that big goal. Hey, Lono, do you think PlayStation will block their games on Xbox if they allow Steam on the platform? Oh, that's what somebody was asking me about earlier. No. What lie tweet? Some guy took an old screenshot of Phil Spencer on a call with Gabe Newell, and he's like, they're cooking up an agreement. And it's like, no, it's from an old tweet by Jeff Keighley from 2020. It's 4 years old. Has nothing to do with today. No, I don't think that PlayStation would say you can't play Horizon Forbidden West through Steam on your Xbox. I don't think they would waste a single ounce of energy on that. They don't care at that point. Who cares? It wouldn't necessarily be running on an Xbox. It would be running in Windows, in Steam, on a hardware device that if our predictions and if our instincts are correct, that they would be basically playing it through Windows. Like, I can't see Sony trying to have any say in that. It's like, no, you brokered a deal with Steam. I mean, I wonder if that gets contractually sticky, though. I do wonder. Anybody, PlayStation, let's just take PlayStation as the example. PlayStation entered into like contractual agreements with Steam. If Steam starts to change where they show up and Steam starts to show up on somebody that PlayStation considers a competitor, PlayStation may say, hey, the contract we signed with you doesn't allow for that. I don't know. There might be a contractual problem there. Because right now, when PlayStation enters an agreement with Steam to put Horizon Forbidden West on Steam, Steam's not on Xbox. They've done it with GeForce Now. That's different, though, isn't it? Like, specific lines of TOS not allowed in cloud streaming? I feel like that's different. Is that? Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. They're like, no, we want our games to show up on Steam. On PC. We don't want our games showing up other places. So if they do it already, yeah, I think my initial answer is probably not correct. PlayStation probably would say, no, that's not the deal that we entered with you. Nope. We did not enter a deal with Steam to end up on Xbox. We entered a deal with Steam to show up on Steam on PCs because, as Hiroki Totoki said, we see opportunities for revenue growth on PC. Right? Like, there could be a contractual issue there. Wait, what's this guy saying? You guys are both going after him. He says, fair enough, but I shouldn't have to pay for other people's choices of not being able to afford college without going into debt. Why on earth are you guys talking about this? Talking about personal life with you, life sucks, get over it. Jiminy Christmas. You got to get off that wavelength. Ironically enough, the Steam Deck is pretty similar to the Xbox Series X and S in terms of the processor. Would not be surprised if either Xbox wants to partner with Valve and have them make the hardware, or if they want to be cross-pollinating libraries with Steam. Xbox devs would have little to no barrier to entry if they started using Valve hardware. Just imagine on Steam where it shows you that the game is compatible with, and then the Xbox logo starts showing up. Yo, Wild Mustang with 13 months. If you didn't have an Xbox but wanted to play the exclusives, would you wait it out for the next console generation, or would you save up and get a PC? Well, I don't think you're going to have to wait. I think Xbox games are going to start landing day and date in as many places as they can frickin' put it. Like, I don't think they care. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they care at all. Xbox isn't going to be concerned with staggering releases anymore. That's a thing of the past. Their biggest titles are just going to land everywhere day and date. There's not going to be like a waiting period. You can get it on Xbox, PC, or PlayStation. That's going to be the most common Xbox published game launch. That'll be the most common scenario. He's been high and mighty for the past 20 minutes saying, oh, boo-hoo, you guys had a choice for college and money stuff. I'm simplifying to an extreme. Okay, that's just not at all the topic. We got into a debate about Gen Z's financial realities and people who don't own homes, and we had this guy basically saying that a bunch of empty platitudes and condemnation of them. Yes, because people really like moving back in with their parents and not getting married and not having children. People love that. They love to be limited. That's truly an example of volition. Let's move on. Jiminy friggin' Christmas. I believe PlayStation will just make their own launcher at that point. Either that, or they would try to force Steam to block it on their end. Listen, I'm be honest with you. I've heard a lot about like the speculation that PlayStation would create their own launcher. Why? What's the point? Like, what's the point? Just use Steam. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't get why people think that is can't even talk. Why do people think that that's a thing that they would want to do? Steam would sue the F out of PlayStation and win? Sue them for what? If they make their own launcher and try to force Steam to block it on their end? Steam can't sue PlayStation for deciding to put their property where they want and not put it on Steam. Not revenue share, the most important point. So I guess what you're saying is, and I guess there could be business impetus to do this, is let's launch a PlayStation storefront app on PC, and even if we only get 10% of PC sales through our app, that's 10% of the sales where we get all the money and none goes to Steam. I mean, I could see that. If they can get the launcher to run well and do a good job, you know, if all they need is, you know, a percentage of the PC sales to go through their app and they make more money, justifying its existence. Are we moving towards an industry-wide analog for what PC currently has? Everyone has their own launcher or store, and if you want to buy a pre-built, then you can get a PlayStation, an Xbox, a PC. I'm not sure what you mean, Paris. They don't put enough games to make a PlayStation storefront? They don't put enough games out to make a PlayStation storefront? Really? How many games have they brought over right now? It would be a pretty decent library, like, right now. Blame Lono for how late this order is. Yeah, and I see distinctly, I see that comrade is missing. The word comrade is missing. Horizon Forbidden West Steam. Let's go to Horizon Forbidden West, and then I gotta put in my birth date for that game. Really? Okay. Please view the page. Thank you. PlayStation PC. LLC. Can Steam on the browser work? Like, just do your job. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's all releases. All right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like 12 of their like well-known titles. Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, God of War, Spider-Man, The Uncharted Collection, Sackboy, Miles Morales, Returnal, Last of Us Part 1, Ratchet & Clank, Helldivers 2, Horizon Forbidden West. So 12. I think that's enough to have your own launcher. And they're going to keep adding to that collection. So like, I've always thought, is there a member goal for the day? It's a big one, dude. It's a big one. You're going to basically need to hit 300 members today. If that's the goal. Like, you guys have hit 25. I've gifted 5. But if you do 300, that'd be 360. And then plus this. Yeah, you need 300 members basically today. It's a big one, Marcus. We've slipped quite a bit, and that's normal for the end of the month. I'm saying everyone has their games available everywhere. Microsoft, Sony, Valve, on any hardware. If you want to buy a console, mobile, or PC, that's fine. It won't affect gameplay. I don't think that's going to start happening. No. How many are you at? Well, out of the 300, we're at 25 for the day. Might as well include Helldivers 2. I mean, I was including it in that total. In the 12. Helldivers 2 is included in that total. No, companies are not going to start putting their games everywhere. Absolutely not. Nintendo's not going to do that. PlayStation's not going to do that. They're not going to suddenly ask their developers to build their game for, hey, we need you to build Spider-Man for PlayStation and Nintendo and PC and also whatever the heck Xbox has. Now, this is where Xbox can start to get back into the good graces of the third-party developers if they basically launch a PC, a console PC hybrid. Why? Nobody really wants to develop games right now for Xbox because their hardware footprint is so small. And a 5-bomb from Marcus. That's Agent of Chaos, and he takes us to 30. That means the next milestone's 50, tempting a 20-bomb. We've already had one 20-bomb temptation today. Let's see if we can get another one. Thank you, Marcus. If you guys got a gifted member, make sure to get in the Discord. We are going to be talking about Helldivers. There's brand new stratagems today that anybody can use, and we'll be covering that in our next stream that we'll be going to in about 1 hour. So I could see Xbox saying, right now, third-party devs aren't really confident in our hardware, our platform, or building games for us. But if it's a quasi-PC console hybrid, then third-party devs right now pretty regularly are making their games for PC. Well, suddenly Xbox is now included in that. Oh yeah, we have that game too. That game is going to be playable on our platform too. Now, again, PlayStation's going to have a problem with that, I would imagine, and they would go to Steam and say, listen, when we bring Spider-Man 2 to Steam, we don't want it playable on an Xbox piece of hardware. We're going to enter a contract with you. We're not entering into a contract with Xbox. And a 20-bomb from Darius Ward comes in and gets us all the way to 50. Just that fast. I now owe you guys 5 members. That's another big one. You guys are tag teaming today, and I love to see it. Marcus sets it up, and Darius slams it home. That was awesome. But if you still have to build for the Series X and the S, it won't matter. Yeah, Josh, that's the question, isn't it? If we're even remotely smelling what Xbox is cooking, we're like, smells like they're going to do like a console PC hybrid handheld thing. What the heck happens to the Series S and the Series X? What do you do? Is it possible to push out an operating system level update to those boxes to make them function more like PCs? To make them suddenly compatible with Steam? I don't know. I'm doubtful that that's possible. You'd make a great sports announcer. I appreciate that. I actually have professionally shoutcasted tournaments and things before in gaming. I appreciate you saying that. Parasito says, Xbox won't matter if Microsoft continues down the path that they have been. Windows at the core won't be hard to expand on. Xbox won't be unique for much longer in terms of dev. It depends on the market and whenever this hypothetical machine is released, but I doubt that Gen Z and their multiple devices will be interested in a combo machine that's 2 things they don't want or need. But how is it 2 things that they don't want or need? Gen Z is embracing gaming on the go. Gen Z is playing PC. Gen Z is playing console. On OBS, that's going to be a blip. We just swapped ingest servers like super fast. It's going to cause some hiccups. It might make your audio mess up. If that happens, you just have to refresh. Wasn't me. It was YouTube. Periodically, they refresh the ingest servers. So I am sorry about that. Jez Corden says, the Xbox app on PC has a fiery background now. Guess it's time for Diablo 4. And Tom Warren says, I thought it was for the Xbox fans constantly dooming and glooming. Right now, Xbox runs Windows. That's what we're saying. It's already running some version of Windows. Something, someone on the wing. Like, it's already running some version of Windows. Like, as I said that, I heard Jim Carrey imitating Shatner from The Twilight Zone. I'm technically Gen Z, and I just play on my PC, occasionally my TV with Steam Link. Lono, yes, they're playing everywhere. Why would they care? They will keep playing the games they are playing. Welfare Rockstar with 21 months, thank you so much. Xbox for sure would be running some version of a Windows operating system, no doubt in my mind. Yeah, it's running the Windows kernel already. Every time I hear Gen Z at work, it's usually how they screwed something up. That's not what we're doing. We're not doing that. I feel bad for Gen Z. Yo, it's good, Aqua. Finally able to have time to watch you in a very long time, so good to be back. Welcome back, Aqua. Good to see you in the chat, Deviant. Who's Gen Z? 27, 28 and down to 11. Like ages 11 to like 27 right now. It's a big bracket. So basically they're going into their teen years and they're going into their early adult years. That bracket of people right now, they play games kind of everywhere. And somebody's like, oh, they're just going to keep playing how they're playing. That's what Josh is saying. Okay. Okay, let me give you an example with the iPod. We were all going to the store. We were buying albums. We were thinking about music in a particular way. You had a CD player. I had a CD player. And we were all listening to music. And that's how our generation was listening to music. And they said, you can listen to it all right here. And we were like, oh, go, yeah, that. Do you see? Like a piece of technology, can suddenly pull all those threads together, and a generation will say, I like this. Give me that. Millennial, I'm in the gap. Like, I'm like right on the edge. Like, I don't feel like a millennial because I'm like 81. Like, I'm right there on the edge of like when it supposedly started. Like, I'm on the older edge of it. So I'm like, when millennials talk, I'm like, shut the frick up. Yo, Aqua, welcome back as a VIP. Yeah, now we all stream music. Exactly, Wheezy. A technological solution comes in that like pulls all the threads together, and you're like, yep, I'm gonna do this. That's what Xbox is trying to do. Xbox is saying, you look good for 81. Thank you. Xbox is basically saying, listen, if they're gaming here and here and here and here, I just pantomimed cell phone, handheld, mouse and keyboard, console. If they're gaming in all those places, let's just give them something that does all of that. I'm not saying that I know their plan. I'm hypothesizing that they would say, we have a handheld that can dock, and the handheld can play Steam games, it can play mobile games, it can play console games. And when you dock it, same deal. Though you're checking all the boxes now. Mobile gaming, gaming on the go, PC gaming, console gaming. Ding, 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 ding. And a Gen Zer is going to look at that and potentially think, I'm not saying Xbox is right. A Gen Zer is going to look at that and say, give me that. That's how I game. That's how I engage with gaming. You and I are old. We're not in this bracket. We're like, what the frick? Give me a PS5 Pro, baby. Give me the latest graphics card, baby. Like, we think differently about gaming than they do, and that's the strategy that they're saying. They're saying, well, if that's how Gen Z games, we do not have a pathway. We don't have an inroad to them with plastic box allegiance. It's not going to happen. And the PC Master Race guys are just as allegiant to their plastic box. That is not what the generation behind us is doing, and that's why Microsoft and Xbox's strategy is likely a device that kind of gets to do all these different things. Catwalk with 13 months in a VIP. I'm at 40. I would be an elder millennial. Lono would be an ancient millennial. Hope everyone's having a good day. That's right. Respect your freaking elders, Catwalk. I'm just kidding. There's a term for us. Me, tail end of Gen X. You, the start of the millennial. Xennials. We were kids for all of the 80s and teens for the 90s. We're the in-between. We're the Xennials. Yeah, like, I don't vibe with the mentality of, like, when millennials talk. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I choke and gag on their short little videos that they put on my... It's millennials. I just can't freaking do it. I can't. What's the... Shut up. Marcus with a month of memberships, and it's a gifted tier. This man already gifted to others. Gen X gamer, all I can say is serenity now. How old are you? I'm 42. I will be 43 this year. That was not a pause. No. There was a noun. There was a noun. There can't be a pause. When I said I'd choke and gag on their short video, oh, frick, whatever. You pause all you want, right? I'll pause you. I think it's all dumb. Yeah, probably. It's all of this is dumb. It really is. Let's just, I'll see you guys later. This is all stupid. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. People will buy it as much as the series or a little higher, but it will allow them to look good while putting all the games on their systems. All right, let's think about this, Lance. I like that you brought that up. Do you think this thing has an inroad in the Asian market? You don't look 42, you look younger? Well, thank you. Won't pause us. I'll pause you any freaking time I want to. I'm just kidding. Do you think this thing has an inroad in the Asian market? Right? Like, Phil talked about how Game Pass PC was kind of blowing up in Japan and having crazy growth for them. They walk into Japan and say, we have a device that is not just a handheld, it is not just a console, it is also a PC. And Japan might say, oh, that sounds awesome. Isn't the difference that this is console players who want PC games, for example? I don't see PC players switching. Both platforms have always been a choice for my generation. Right. That I think is right, Brolo. I don't think this is for PC users. I don't think this is for console users. I think this is for Gen Zers who kind of have all of it already. And they're like, oh, I can have it all in one place. It's kind of like you don't really need a Roku and a TiVo anymore. You just need a smart TV. Right? Japan will say, does it play Nintendo games? Okay. Forget I said Japan. Just consider the Asian market. Consider the Korean market. Like, consider the fact that there is an entire market that plays more on the go. More handheld oriented. The Nintendo Switch, there's a Nintendo, every fourth person in Japan has a Nintendo Switch according to population and sales. Like, what the frick? That's crazy, right? A handheld, a handheld that's also like a PC when you get it home, and it's also a PC on the go. I don't know. Yeah, the Switch 2 will spank the Xbox handheld. I mean, that is obviously a considerable threat, for sure. I'm not saying that it will. I'm asking the question. Will it have a chance in the Asian market? Any Xbox device will not sell well in Asia, let alone Japan. Phil Spencer sees the Asian market as pivotal to their success, and they've been trying to make inroads and handshakes with Japanese developers and Asian companies. So I think they see that as a challenge, but I also see I think they see it as like fertile ground. Like, hey, let's get over there. Let's make some friends. I found the Exennials group on Facebook. It's all pictures of 80s toys and early 90s commercials and mid-90s music. It's fun. The nostalgia sweet spot for sure. I listened to a song today, and it absolutely captivated me right before I went live. It was absolutely insane. It's by a guy named Greg Thompson, and he's singing about 1994. And it starts with the Nirvana do 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 do. Like, he just plays that on his guitar, kind of slow, and then he uses that melodic influence for the bass melody of the song, and it is fabulous. It is a wonderful song. I went to Spotify. I was like, where is this guy? I want to listen to more of his music. So I saved it. I bookmarked it. It's freaking awesome. Like, if you grew up and, like, you know what he's talking about. Like, he's talking about Nirvana. He's talking about the 90s. Holy cow, dude. So good. It's an amazing song. Super talented guy. Wonderful voice. Great storyteller. I was thrilled. I couldn't stop watching it. I didn't call this out. Aaron... this is his username in stream. Thank you so much for ordering 2 bags of light roast on the coffee, man. I appreciate it very, very much. So he sampled it? No. He didn't sample it. He played the melody on his guitar, and then it was like the melodic influence for the melody that he chose for his own song. Like, you could hear the influence of the Nirvana song, and then he ends with the melody. It's fabulous. He didn't sample. He's not sitting there with like a button, like pressing buttons. Like, he wrote a song. It's very, very well done. He sampled it. Frick out of here, Trill. What's the name of the singer again? Greg Thompson was his name. It was a video in my feed on the Tickety Talk, right? I don't even know if the song has a name. He doesn't even give it a name. He just hashtagged it 80s baby. Wait, this says Steven Wilson Jr. Oh, wait a minute. Greg Thompson posted it, but Steven Wilson Jr. is the artist. Oh, it's called Year to Be Young, 1994. This guy, Greg Thompson, posted it. Steven Wilson Jr., Year to Be Young, 1994. That's the song. He might be on Spotify. The guy that posted it is not the guy who wrote the song. Greg Thompson is the name of the guy who posted it. Frick. Probably stole it. This boomer. Okay. Steven Wilson Jr. Is he on? Is he I don't want to mess up my Spotify and start playing different music. I'll look later. Okay, cool. There's still a chance to find him on Spotify. You want an apology? I thought it was a song you were listening to. What? You're not getting an apology, Trill. No, I don't do that. I don't do apologies. Go write a twit longer, right? You know what? That needs to be merch. That needs to be a shirt, okay? Have you seen the Be a Man Mafia? Work a job you hate for the rest of your life. Be a man. Never show up to your kids' games. Work 10 hours a day. Be a man. We just need a shirt that says, go write a twit longer. You know what I'm saying? That's our here's a quarter, go call somebody who cares. That's our version of it. Go write a twit longer. Steven Wilson Jr. is a singer-songwriter from rural southern Indiana. He's from southern Indiana. I could probably go meet him. That's very close to where I live. Yeah, Year to Be Young. There it is. It's just a fantastic song, dude. Buy a truck. Never use it for truck things. Be a man. I love it. I love it, dude. The Be a Man Mafia is so funny. So funny, dude. They make great content. Wouldn't it technically be an X longer now? Oh, for frick's sake. It'll always be Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine if any other website did that? You would still call it YouTube. You would still call it Facebook. You wouldn't call it by the new dumb name, right? Like, if Zuckerberg would have got it in his mind, like, yeah, we should just rename Facebook to Meta, right? Everybody thought that was going to happen. People would still call it Facebook. Nobody would adapt. Nobody would do that. Why would you? You don't need to. Like, if McDonald's was suddenly like, we're not McDonald's anymore, we're Larry's, you'd be like, yeah, we're still gonna call you McDonald's. Like, you're a fixture in society. Like, we're not changing, okay? Just shut up, all right? And you can clip this and send it to Elon, all right? We're not calling it the other thing. It'll always be Twitter. Yeah, we're now M's. What'd you say? Parasito says, Xbox being on Windows kernel is still a good few degrees removed from PC Windows. It's logistically more similar to an ATM or McDonald's self-ordering kiosk. Objectively, it's based on Windows NT and Hyper-V, a virtualization system, which means it's far more similar to Windows Server. The OG Xbox was originally far more similar to Windows than what we are on now. 360 took that further away, and the One started bringing it back slowly. The Series X and the S are pretty close, but it's still basically Windows 10 embedded with some extra bells and whistles crossed with Windows 10S. Okay, well, there you go. That's hysterical. We're going to Larry's for burgers. It's got to be one of the dumbest rebrands in history. It doesn't mean anything. It's a freaking letter. It's a letter, dude. It doesn't even make any sense. Yo, what's good, Crafty? As long as the URL redirects to Twitter, it's Twitter. That's right. I want French fries from Larry's. Wear a coffee ring beard and call it a goatee. Alienate every woman you meet. Be a man. We need another version though. You know, like we need to be a woman mafia. You know what I'm saying? Buy 18 Stanleys and only use one. Be a woman. Like we need another version of that. Xbox just X just open sourced their AI. Actually, pretty neat stuff. It's not filtered or pruned like the other models that are out. What's good, Ravenstorm? We're all the way off topic. Let's see if there's anything that we didn't talk about. Let's see here. Short recap. Let me give you a recap. Let's see if we can't unearth something from this. So I gave the quick backstory about how back in November, Phil Spencer told Famitsu that PlayStation and Nintendo are part of the Xbox family. The CFO made his remarks about a change in strategy and putting games on platforms that were previously considered competitors. And then Satya Nadella said what he said about we're now in the position to do what we've always wanted to do, which is make great games and put them on all platforms. And then recently, Phil Spencer talked about a, quote, brand pivot. He used the word brand pivot. And he said that Gen Z, console market stagnation, all these different factors, they were going to have to change. And the funny thing was, he did talk about how they're not thinking about Xbox being the only thing that you plug into your TV, which is interesting that he said that it would be almost hinting that they're going to make something else that you plug into your TV that's not just an Xbox. And so that also then led him to talking about like being open to the fact of like putting Epic or Steam on the actual Xbox device. So essentially, I positioned it as this is what I think. I think this could be good for Xbox. I don't necessarily agree with him on Gen Z. I think Gen Z's gaming habits won't necessarily stay the same, but I do understand targeting Gen Z with a handheld, dockable hybrid console / PC could be very appealing to Gen Zers who basically play on PCs, consoles, tablets, and phones that kind of play everywhere. They're not really allegiant. They don't have allegiance to a piece of plastic. And so I also talked about serious gaming versus disposable gaming and how the medium of playing on something like this versus playing on a TV, you're not really going to see those worlds cross over. You're not going to see people who gravitate towards disposable gaming suddenly being gravitated towards serious gaming. And you're not going to see people who gravitate towards serious gaming suddenly gravitating towards disposable gaming. And then the people who enjoy both serious gaming like a God of War Ragnarok and more disposable gaming like a Clash of Clans, you're not going to see somebody who likes both suddenly mix and matching where they're playing the games. Like if you're playing a more serious game, you're going to want it on a TV. If you're playing a more disposable game, you're going to feel like, oh yeah, this is totally fine to play on a mobile. Does that make sense? So my prediction is they will be making essentially a PC handheld console hybrid device. I gave Hip Hop Gamer his credit. He called this in January and said it would be a device that you could boot into Windows or boot into a console mode, and that this is essentially their strategy going forward. Like that's how they're kind of targeting Gen Z. That's kind of the summary of the monologue, as well as the discussion that we've been having. Sven, with a $15 super chat tip, says, been a minute, I got my bonus, so I'm sharing the love. Fathead Groovy's Juice Hazy IPA should be available at your local Total Wine. Okay, so Yeah, if you guys ever want to make a drink recommendation like he just did and you tip the money, that's basically you buying me a drink. All right, hang on 1 second here. It's called Fat Heads Groovy. All right, that should be enough to find it. Fat Heads Groovy Juice. There it is. They don't have a picture for it. Is it good for delivery? Yeah, switch to delivery. Confirm. Let's see if it's available for delivery. It is. It is. It's been added to the cart. It's been added to the cart. Thank you so much, Sven. There's no pick on the site. It's available. It's been added to the cart. Thank you for the 15 spot. Thank you for paying for me to try out a new IPA. I appreciate you, brother. And you guys that were going for the goal, thank you for a huge, huge day. 50 members already. Very lofty goal. We need 300 members basically today to hit the goal for a Friday night community game night. We were not planning on doing a stream. I was going to take the night off because we're going to be coming back from a service. However, if you guys can hit 300 members a day, we will do a Friday night community game night. It'll be a blast. It'll be a little bit later than normal, but it'll be a fun time. So you guys can keep pushing that. You've got more time. In about 30 minutes, we're going to switch to Helldivers and check out the brand new stratagems. They dropped brand new free stratagems in the game today, and we will be looking at those and seeing how they are. Jim Ryan's Godfather PlayStation as well. We all know it. I don't know, man. I think they've had some great people at the helm. I think I don't think just Phil. I think that oh gosh, what's his name? He just did the podcast with those guys. He said some great things to say lately. I think it'd be great to bring him back. He probably won't come back. But I can't believe his name is escaping me right now. The Wrath update for Hell Sweeper VR rolls out today, bringing new gameplay features and improved graphics to the PSVR 2. Glad to see people utilizing this tech. Yeah, I wonder what their plans are with the VR 2, because like everybody's like, oh, the VR 2 is DOA, and now I'm seeing all these announcements and new games and stuff. It's weird. Sean Layden, thank you. Yeah, Sean Layden was great. What are you talking about? You haven't talked about the Ministry of Lies in a minute. Did they get to you? What was the security phrase? Oh, no, they haven't gotten to me. No. We just tried something fun on Monday, and it was fun, but I think anytime we cover Helldivers from now on, we'll cover it like the regular way. Like the little jokes and stuff are fun, but I'm never going to do another thumbnail or something like that again. It didn't really vibe with the audience. So what's the phrase? I don't remember the phrase. I don't know what you're talking about. If Sony ever decides to do it, though, it would be the death of Xbox. If Sony ever decides to do what? What would be the death of Xbox? They got to him? Sean Layden greenlit Helldivers 2? Yeah. Headset doesn't get the credit it deserves. It might start now that it can be used on a PC. You know what I mean? Wondering if Jim got low-key walked to the door like Sean? No. You don't celebrate a man with cookies and in-game bobbleheads and have him going around and visiting the studios. You don't do that with somebody you're firing. The fact that people even still try to insinuate or claim that he got fired, like, listen, your life will be better if you stop listening to liars. Like, your life will just be better. You're letting nonsense into your brain. You just are. Just stop. Don't follow them. Don't consume their content. They're not honest. It's so painfully obvious that the man was not fired. Like, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed that adults continue to deal in such stupidity and such falsehood. I think they're embarrassing. Like, what are you doing? He was fired. Jiminy Christmas. Helldivers 2 is mid. Uh-huh. Whatever you say, Hilly. Whatever makes you feel good about not being able to play Halo. Whatever you say, Hilberg. And that's okay. Last I checked, mid games don't have reverse sale charts. Last I checked, mid games don't top charts that many months in a row. Last I checked, mid games don't go viral to the degree that that game's gone viral. But okay, yeah, it's mid. Being on PC is real interesting too. I would bet HTC and some of the more corporate geared companies will add it to things like industrial. What are you talking about? Are you guys talking about the VR stuff? Check my last comment. I'm curious. All right, hang on, Sneaky. Lono, do you actually think that Sony would allow games on an Xbox through Steam? No. We talked about it in this broadcast, and at first I was like, I don't think they could, but then the more we talked about it, PlayStation entered into a contract and an agreement with Steam, and for Steam to suddenly make that game available on Xbox, I think PlayStation would have grounds to say, you can't do that. That's not in the contract. You can't suddenly put our game on the competitor. What are you doing? Do you see what I'm saying? You would not ever see that. Like if Nintendo suddenly decided to put their games on Steam, which they won't because they hate piracy, and what Horizon Forbidden West was like cracked in like 5 minutes, and Zelda was downloaded like 1 million times. So I don't think Nintendo would ever do it, but let's just imagine that they did. I don't think they would be cool with Steam suddenly showing up on a competitor console and you could play Nintendo games on a competitor console. Like PlayStation's going to think the same way. Foveated rendering, the thing where the headset tracks your eyes and only turns up resolution where you're looking, extremely good for reducing procedural load and power requirements to run VR. Yes, it's very cool. It's very cool in, they do it in No Man's Sky. They do. That guy said, cry, pony, fanboy. I don't know anybody here who's crying, and I don't know why you're saying pony fanboy. If Steam tried pulling that, Sony would just pull their games from Steam. I don't think Steam would try pulling that. I think contractually, PlayStation could say, you can't do that. That's not what we agreed to. We agreed to put our game on Steam for people to play the game on PC. We never agreed to have our game showing up on Steam on an Xbox. PlayStation would have every right to say, no, that's not cool, man. That's not what we agreed to. Contractually, that's not allowable. So I'm not, again, they might not care, but I would imagine that they would. They would be like, no, that's not the optics we're looking for, right? We're okay with porting games to PC later. We're okay with tapping into the extra revenue from the PC platform, as Hiroki Toki has indicated. But suddenly having our games on the rival box, no, that's not something that we're okay with. Unless the contract is written as Steam the platform and not Steam the program. Sure. And I think PlayStation would have grounds to say, hey, we would like to renegotiate. That's not something that we're okay with. You know, and I think Steam would play nice. I think they'd be like, sorry, man, you know. Are we talking about hypothetical contracts? No, they're not hypothetical. There are contracts that you agree to when you bring your game to a platform like Steam, and you have to abide by that contract. There are clauses in the contract about, like, if you put your game on Steam and then you put it elsewhere and then you discount the game elsewhere, like on another launcher or whatever, you have to also lower your price on Steam. Like, they have things like that. There's 100% contracts between the companies that own the game, make the game, publish the game, and Steam. That's not a hypothetical. That's a real thing. There's been lawsuits about Steam's contracts. Like, we've seen them. I found this research showing mobile games is on the up for Gen Z. It's on the up for Gen Z. Okay. Rise of the Ronin character creator is amazing. Team Ninja also brought back character codes so you can share them. My Ronin, some of the favorites from the subreddit. Oh, that's really cool that they did that. I'm being told from a little birdie that Sean Layden had an amiable departure with a goodbye email. However, there was word that there was a power struggle and he decided to leave. So it sounds like there might have been some, headbutting going on. Sony would tell Steam those devices cannot download the game. Steam knows what device you're on. I don't see Xbox having a Steam app on the handheld and not receive every single game on the platform. I doubt Gabe would agree to hold PlayStation games exclusive to Steam on PC. I mean, PlayStation already does it according to what people were saying earlier. They already do it with NVIDIA, the cloud streaming. So, what happens when the device is just a PC, though? Yeah. I'm fairly confident that content owners reserve the right to pull their games from the platform, just as Steam reserves the right to delist them under certain circumstances. I believe that that is true, Victor. I believe that at any point in time you can say, we don't want our game in Steam anymore. You can just yank it. Now, obviously nobody does that, right? Because Steam is the biggest and the most centric location to get PC games. So you rarely, if ever, see that happening. Now, you do see Steam delist video games and stuff, but companies have every right to go in and like unlist the game and say, no, the game's not available anymore. We've seen that happen. So PlayStation could basically be like, no, we do not want it to be available on Xbox hardware. So you either disallow it or we're just going to pull our games, right? We don't need this. We really want this, but we don't need this. So I wouldn't think that Steam and PlayStation would be unable to come to an amicable agreement on that. You can pull your game at any time. Ubisoft did it and EA did it in the past. Then EA came back to Steam. Yeah, that we've again, like I said, we've seen it happen. Supremacy 101 with a $10 super chat tip. A Swift I think you meant to say Swiss. A Swiss Army knife, essentially. However, should this fail, I can see then simply buying another publisher and sticking to being third-party publisher. Also make their own PC launcher if they don't already have one. Oh, yeah, no, they do. Xbox has their own launcher. It's not very good. It's been pretty criticized. Jez Corden has criticized the Xbox app on Windows Central. Like, he thinks it has all kinds of problems. If it's a curated version of Steam on an Xbox handheld, we might have something there. But if it's a Steam entirely on that handheld, I don't know. These agreements were not written on a napkin. These issues have been lawyered out in advance, says Zubair. What happens when Xbox hardware doesn't exist anymore and it's just a third-party hardware with a sticker and an app on it, but just Windows at the end of the day? Well, according to Phil Spencer, that's not going to happen. According to Phil Spencer, that's not going to happen. He made it pretty clear that Xbox, he says it's in the name, we're always going to have some kind of a piece of hardware. So I don't think that's going to happen, Paris. I don't think there's a future where Xbox is like, yeah, it's a console, PC, handheld hybrid, but it's not an Xbox. It's a Microsoft gaming system. I just don't think so. I don't think they're going to completely dissolve the notion and the name and the idea and the identity. I don't think that's going to happen. How many times has Phil lied? I don't want to get down into the muck and the mire about when he lies. I don't think he lies. I don't. Do you know what? You want to know why I think people think he lies? No disrespect. People are stupid. And they're very manipulable. And Phil is very smart. It's a very simple equation. It's a very simple equation. Like, I'm not trying to insult you. Okay? But Phil's just smarter than you, man. He's never lied. He says what he needs to say, and he lets you walk away with the impression that he wants. And then people turn around like, he's a liar. No. You were just kind of dumb. Like, come on. I'm saying it with a smile on my face. I'm not being mean. You're just being kind of stupid. Like when Phil said the 4 games coming to PlayStation Nintendo, they are not Indiana Jones and Starfield. And everybody runs to Twitter and they're like, see, ponies, cope, ponies, Starfield's not coming, ponies. And then when it happens, they're going to say, Phil Spencer lied. No. You're just easily manipulated. Do you remember when the CFO said, we're going to start to put our games on platforms that were previously considered competitors, and Phil goes to Windows Central and goes, you don't need to see our identification. He just Jedi mind tricks the whole dadgum community. He's like, we have no plans to put Game Pass on PlayStation or Nintendo. And everyone's like, ha-ha, Phil saved the day. What? He's not lying. You're just stupid. He's not lying. Right? He's not. He just takes words and he goes, he's like Doctor Strange with words. He's like, and everyone's like, haha, Phil saved the day. No Starfield. Phil saved the day. No, the games aren't going to PlayStation. We told you the games aren't going to PlayStation. Look what Phil said. And it's like, oh my gosh. He doesn't lie. You just don't pay attention. And you call me a pony for telling you that that's not what Phil said. He's so masterful at it. He's the freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi of video game marketing. He's just like, you don't need to see our identification. And everyone's like, well, you don't need to see his identification. And then a month later, they're like, Phil Spencer's a liar. No, he's not. You just weren't paying attention. You just weren't paying attention. Every single time we covered any of this, I got mercilessly attacked and called a pony. And now what do you have to say for yourselves? Now what do you have to say for yourselves? Not much, because they don't show up to my streams anymore. Clip that. Give me a frickin' break. Phil Spencer's a liar. You lack basic reading comprehension and deduction skills. Phil Spencer's not a liar. You're like putty in his hands. That's what it is. He's like, look. Ridiculous. And people have finally woken up to the fact that he says what he needs to say in the moment. It's like in the Wheel of Time. The Aes Sedai are bound by magic, like they cannot lie. So they say things that are true to leave you with an impression, to get the results that they want. They don't lie. They literally cannot lie. They're unable to. Like, they're not able to do it. You don't know what putty is? Well, like silly putty? Are you kidding me? Y'all, come on. I put silly putty on the Sunday newspaper comics, you know? I'm like, hey, look, it's Garfield. Phil's nose continues to grow. I've said it time and time again. I got respect for the man's wordsmith abilities, right? I've got respect for it. He's really, really good at it. And watching him play the Xbox community like a fiddle last year, it was remarkable to watch. It was just remarkable. It was remarkable. Like, the CFO's like, we're going to start putting games on the competitors' consoles. And Phil's like, we have no plans to put Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo. And, like, that's all he had to say. That's all he had to say. Everybody took it. Everybody ran with it. They took their little victory laps. He's the Hattori Hanzo of video game PR. Check Discord. The Steam Deck is a piece of hardware just like the Xbox. It's just running Linux with some fancy paint. Phil is very sly with his words. Xbox will still have their hardware to sell, but I don't think it will be made by them. They'll outsource this. They'll slap their branding and version of Windows on it, and they'll call it a day. They don't want to be the last kid picked it for kickball. They're going to consolidate and get rid of the made for Xbox mentality. It'll just be another published by Xbox app available for general computing. I mean, I think you could probably compel me to believe that they are going to outsource the hardware. They're going to have somebody else make it. You could compel me to believe that. Apparently, I think it was Jez Corden who said the Surface team has been helping with the consoles for like a while now. And according to Sarah Bond, they're currently working on something. According to Phil Spencer, they're currently working on something. Like, their R&D department is cooking something up. So I don't know if what you're saying is necessarily true yet, Paris. I could see a future where they do that, where they're like, we don't want to really do this anymore. We do want to have a hardware offering, but we're going to outsource this to another company. They have entire departments that are working on this stuff right now. Like, those departments would have to be either reassigned or laid off. Like, so right now, I don't think that's happening. Maybe in the future, I could see them doing that. We have it on very good authority from Phil himself that the department and the department head is currently working on something new that's coming, that's going to not be like a traditional piece of console hardware. We know this. Unless he's just literally talking out of his rear end, but I don't think so. I don't think you would go and do interviews and hint and say that like something new is coming, they're working on it, it's not going to be what you expect, it's going to be unique, it's going to be a huge technical leap. The Windows GDK is being developed and overhauled at full tilt. It's in progress right now. Yeah, so they're doing something. They're cooking something up right now. And I think we got pretty close to what it is when we talked about like a handheld console PC hybrid, like this kind of like checks a lot of boxes device. And again, I think the biggest question would be, if this is the path they're taking, what do they do with the Series S? What do they do with the Series X? Like, what are you going to do when games start getting developed and they hit this handheld thing, but they don't hit the Series X and the Series S? Like, when does that happen? When does that hinge turn? Where they're like, yeah, those are no longer supported. Or is there a way for them, we've talked about this before, like what if they turn the Series S into a cloud box, but the cloud box basically has them log into this thing that we're talking about. This interface that we're talking about, this PC operating system console hybrid thing. Probably already in that super secret room where the other postware is being made. Yeah, I'm with Zubair. Like, I think he's very, very gifted at being vague. He's very, very gifted at about, he says just enough and he gets everybody convinced. Like, I do. I think he's very, very good at that. That's why when people are like, he's a liar, I'm like, I mean, there are PlayStation guys that say it, but now there's all these Xbox guys that are saying it, and it's like, he's not a liar. He just, it's a Jedi mind trick. You know what I mean? And some of us are like Jabba the Hutt, and we're like, we laugh at him. We're like, that doesn't work on us, Phil. The rest of you are like stormtroopers. Like, we don't need to see his identification. We're like, go along there, Phil. You know what I mean? That's called deception. I don't necessarily think it's worth discussing whether or not there were moments of willful deception. Like, he's like, I'm going to deceive and mislead the public. I just don't think that's a debate worth having. The man said things to maintain an image and to maintain PR and consumer confidence. He's doing his job. He can't walk out and be like, yeah, the stuff we're cooking up, you're not going to believe this. We're going to be putting games on PlayStation and Nintendo. Here's the crazy part about it, and this is why I do defend him a little bit. He was telling people this was coming, and anytime we pointed to it, we got attacked. Like, he was saying this stuff. He was making it clear. He wasn't walking out and being like, yeah, we're going to completely detonate the entire brand and make you think completely different about us, and hardware confidence is going to be in the dadgum toilet, and, we're going to be putting games on our systems, and you're going to be really angry because we sold you basically a bill of goods with the Series X. Like, he can't walk out and say that, but he can walk out and basically say, like, games everywhere. When everybody plays, everybody wins. PlayStation and Nintendo are considered part of the community now, If your girlfriend thinks you're cheating and she asks you if you went to this other girl's house and you say no, but you did so in a hotel room, you told her the truth, but you still lied. Right, but again, how many times can we point to instances where Phil Spencer was asked pointed questions and he pulled that level of deception? What's he supposed to walk out there and do? Say, well, we effed up again? He'd lose his job. Phil tells you that the snow is white, he's lying. His 10 out of 10 Starfield comment was telling. Yeah, I feel like he got very transparent during the Kind of Funny interview. Yeah. The only time that I took Phil Spencer to task for what I felt was unprofessional and also not honest was when he was speaking about the issues of feature parity and said that it wasn't a hardware problem, and he cast it as a developer choice. Buddy, that was one of the few times I got out the bat, and I was like, Phil, that's a load of bull, and you know it. And they didn't fare well in that exchange, because the very next day, Larian was like, Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to Xbox without split screen. I think Larian had had enough. They were like, we've been doing interviews for 6 months, basically running PR for you, trying to softly say that this is the Series S's fault while also trying to make you guys not look terrible. We're running PR interviews for your brand. Instead of celebrating our game as this triumph in the gaming world, we're doing interviews about your hardware, and you have the nerve to sit down with Destin from IGN and be like, it's not a hardware problem. Larian was like, you know what? Frick you. You're taking our game without split screen. There's no way that within 24 hours, him saying that they're not going back on feature parity, there's absolutely no way that was not the straw that broke the camel's back. And Larian goes into public and is like, they're taking our game without split screen. And where's your split screen? Where is it? It's nowhere to be found because they abandoned the idea. It's not possible. They were like, this is a waste of time. The game probably didn't even sell well over there. So that was the one time I got the bat out. And I was like, give me a break, Phil. These guys have been running PR damage control for you for 6 months. And you can't do them the solid of saying, yes, there are certain things that are required to get certain features to run on the Series S, but we're confident that we can get the job done. That's all he had to say. Instead, he chose another path. And at that moment, I remember I told you guys, I said, I lost some respect for him. That is absolutely ridiculous to passively throw Larian under the bus after all of the kindness and the professionalism that they afforded Xbox in the public about that. Got to keep in mind, Phil is still beholden to the higher-ups who are beholden to the money. Sure, and in that interview, I still don't know if he was like, oh, I can't say what's true, I'll get in trouble. He could have been like, listen, I mean, Matt Booty owned it and was like, basically admitted that it takes more work to get games to run on the Series S. He wasn't shy about that. He was like, yeah. He's like, and I think that, the more developers do it, they'll be able to plan better. The whole plan better interview, remember Matt Booty saying that? For a full year, he was talking about the acquisition being about exclusives for Game Pass. Meanwhile, they were porting games in the background. Yeah, I mean, that is where I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with you. That is an element of like, you're saying one thing, but you're doing another. Alapark says PlayStation ports were actively being worked on in the background, and he was doing interviews claiming basically the opposite. Eugene and I are on the same page. No, you know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. You know, I think that that's a valid point for Xbox loyalists to push back on and say, you were saying this while you were actively doing this. And then the rumors run wild for 2 months, and you come out and have the nerve to make it seem like it's only going to be these 4. And then you go and do other interviews with The Verge. You do this podcast where, yeah, just these 4, you know, it's not everything, blah, blah, blah. And then you go do a Verge interview, and you're like, yeah, we're not going to say no to anything. we're not going to close the door on anything. Everything's fair game. I think Xbox loyalists have every right to be upset about that. I will never discount that criticism or that frustration. But to call the man a liar, I don't know. It's like, what was he supposed to do? He's not allowed to come out and say anything other than that. But like, listen, we're trying to get great games to be exclusives to Game Pass. And to be quite honest with you, what if that's still true? These games that they purchased, these properties that they purchased, might still be only on the only sub-service they're going to show up on is going to be Game Pass. Like, I know that's still like twisting words to make it maintain truth, but it's like, think about it. Like when Blade lands, if it hits all platforms, but you can play it day one on Game Pass, that's still within the hemisphere of what he promised. If you're an Xbox loyalist, you're still benefiting from that acquisition if Blade hits Game Pass day and date. Now, if they move away from that, you set the world on fire. You go right ahead and scorched earth and say, this is ridiculous. We supported these acquisitions. We supported these mergers because we thought we were going to get a bunch of these games on Game Pass. And if they move away from doing that, go ahead, set the world on fire. But if they still start bringing these acquired pieces of property to Game Pass day and date, you're still benefiting from that as an Xbox loyalist. I still think you're getting essentially what he promised. You're just mad that I can buy it on the PlayStation as well, which is petty, if I'm honest. Like, I get it, but it's not like some iconic piece of Microsoft Xbox property. It's Blade. It's like, what the heck do you care? If it hits Game Pass day one and I can buy it on PlayStation, why do you care? You're still getting the thing he promised you. And it's not some iconic big piece of property that you're suddenly losing a part of the brand identity. Well, that seems to be coming, so that's a whole nother subject. If Halo ever makes the jump, that's the end. There is no more identity to retain. He's still lying, in my opinion. David Dorsey with 17 months. Yo, just got home with my NVIDIA Shield Pro. Gonna play some GeForce in 4K 60 HDR, dude. Have fun with that, man. Hang on, I gotta schedule this. We did not do we did not do like a members only chat today. I don't feel like we needed to. Chat was humming and felt great, and we appreciate you guys. But we got to check out this stuff. Here we go. I had to write a whole new description for Helldivers this morning. I had to write a whole new description. I had everything typed up, and then these guys dropped brand new free stratagems in the game. Oh, I didn't download the new thumbnails. Give me just a second here, chat. Give me just a second. Thank you for an amazing day. 50 members. Y'all can keep going in the next stream. You can keep it moving. You can keep it popping. but we are going to have to move on. I'm going to have to go get my PlayStation. I'm not accustomed to doing gameplay every day. We've been doing more gameplay, but I've also been playing more in my living room, so I end up moving it. And I've just been loving. I've been loving Rise of the Ronin. Accurate, because I could have had it faster and better quality if it was Xbox X only. You need another PlayStation. I'll have one end of this year with the Pro. That's the hope. All right, and let's go here. And let's set up redirect. Okay. Where's the exact same? Sure. Here's hoping they can make enough, right? Okay. I don't think people are mad that others can buy them. They're mad that they themselves could have bought something different and still got them along with other things like PS5 exclusives. You know, and that again, I get that, Eugene. I get that. If that's how they feel, like if they bought an Xbox because of what Phil said about the acquisition, I could see them having a valid complaint. Here's my only pushback to that presumption. The acquisition year didn't see some big surge of hardware sales for Xbox. So it's not like they were suddenly selling like a ton of Xboxes and convincing a ton of people to, you know, to buy Xboxes. You know, I don't think that was happening. Some people, sure. A lot of people, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if there was this monsoon of people that were like, dude, can't wait to get my Xbox because they bought Activision Blizzard and they bought, you know, Bethesda, and now I would have bought a PS5. If I was an Xbox-only gamer and I bought an Xbox because of the games I was led to believe that would only be on the Xbox, my anger would be that PlayStation people can buy them. My anger would be that I could have gotten a PS5 and been fine. Just wait until it's Starfield. Wait until it's Gears. Here's my issue with that, and here's my pushback, though, Eugene. If they bought an Xbox Series X 2 years ago, by the time all that makes landfall, they still have a box that got Game Pass, that got Diablo, that got Starfield, that this year is going to get Hellblade and Avowed, and like they're still like it's a long time before that switch flips. So again, I don't think the anger's valid. What? Because this year, like Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, like is that really enough to make them that angry? They're angry because of the idea, not because of the actual effect it's having on them as a consumer. Like, well, I would have bought a PS5. What do you mean? You'd still be waiting on those games then. What are you talking about? It hasn't happened yet. When day and date starts happening, a lot of these guys are probably going to buy a PlayStation. Sure, they'll just convert. They'll be like, I'm just going to go over there because then I can get Spider-Man 3. Then I can get the day and date Xbox titles. But right now, nothing's really changed. Like, they just got Diablo 4 on Game Pass. You give up Spider-Man 2 to buy an Xbox if you're only buying one console. Sure, and now you're staring down the barrel of, I could have bought the PS5, I could have played Spider-Man 2, and then I could have just waited on all these titles to come over. But again, how fast is that going to happen? How long is that going to take? Right? We got to shift gears. We absolutely have to shift gears. Let me get my PlayStation in the room. And guys, smash the like button. Get us to 500 likes. We've had a huge day. Nice turnaround. We've been bouncing around on topics. So if you haven't seen my coverage of the Elder Scrolls and what I think they need to do with early access, or if you didn't see my video about Helldivers, or if you didn't see my video about the Xbox handheld, make sure when you subscribe to this channel, you turn the bell on. Make sure you're checking your sub feed. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Reforge Gaming or get into our Discord so you don't miss these streams. YouTube's been really inconsistent about putting my streams in front of people. Today's been a little bit better. So help this video out. Smash that like button. Make sure it's saving your like. You can also give some more members. Or I'm just going to say it. If we hit 300 today, I'll do it. I'll do it. We might fall short on 2,500, but if we hit the 300 members today, that gets us that close. We'll do a Friday night community game night. So right now you're at 50, so you need 250 more. I gift 5 every 25, so the next goal would obviously be 75. So keep it going. We're going to check out some Helldivers 2 in a moment, the brand new stratagems. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to keep the stream up. I'm just going to go grab my PlayStation, all right? Do not leave. Stick around. I'll be right back. Okay, thanks for sticking around. Is this working? There we go. Nope, I'm still here. I did not get erased. Is there an update? No. Okay. 75 hours in Helldivers 2, 14 hours in Rise of the Ronin. Rise of the Ronin, it says I'm 36% through. So, oh, I'm in the way. There it is. 75 hours in Helldivers. 14 hours in Ronin. I'm just loving Ronin, dude. It's such a fun game. Okay. All right. Obviously, any of the folks that typically play with me, feel free. Have they fixed the... It looks like a nope. New stratagems available. It still treat me like a new player. Goodness. How have they not fixed that yet? That seems like such an easy fix. All right. The loadout bug is still there. I'm kind of disappointed with that. It's taken that long. Okay, tweets are sent. All right. I'm going to put a link in chat. That's where we're headed, guys. Hey, really help me out when we do these second streams. A lot of the times we get over there and like the like button's just not getting pressed, because I think sometimes y'all forget that we are in a second stream. All right. So I'll have like, a couple hundred viewers and like 10 likes. So remember, we are going to a brand new stream. So when we get over there, smash the heck out of the like button as soon as you get over. Okay. Thanks so much for checking this video out. We are going to be checking out the brand new Helldivers 2 new stratagems. They just put them in the game today. They're free. It's kind of like when they added the mech and everybody could call down the mech. So we're going to be checking that out. We're also going to be checking up on the Helldivers 2 major order, because I believe it's another one that's potentially set up for failure, and it will introduce a Helldivers 2 new faction, the Cyborgs. That's what I think is going to be going on, and we're just going to quickly make sure and mute people. Some of the times they're watching the stream and then their mic picks it up, and we don't need that echo and that reverb. I'm going to end the previous stream, and I'm going to bring people over, and also we're going to spam that link in chat.